Hello there. Now, we have a bit of a long video. Misa Tamari has been one of the few people to actually respond to me asking permission to, react to their videos. And there's been a couple other people I want to react to at the same time. So we're gonna definitely look at the Misa Tamari, what Misa Tamari was saying, and some of the things that he actually pulled up, because it turns out he stuck his foot in the free speech absolutist position, and then antis false mass reported him and got his account on X banned. So kind of interesting. But let's see. Let's see if I get stabbed in the back for this video. I have a sneaking suspicion I might. But let us continue. Right? We're gonna start with the UK is kind of cooked. Then we will get into the Misa Tamari, the whole Mimi commentary situation, because he actually did research. And usually when Misa Tamari does research, he does some good research, right? He will usually bring up something that I don't see anyone else talk about, which is why I wanted to ask him to do that. This is going to be a long reaction just because of the length of this video. And then I'm going to see if we could squeeze in chibi reviews. But that's the plan for right now. So feel free to pause this at any point if you need to, and come back to it, because I understand this is going to be a long video. So let's get started.
Somebody's like, restore Britain. Good fucking luck with that.
Did you see the recent thing from Britain, actually? It was really interesting.
I saw a lot of recent things, and I was unhappy with...
Did you see the VTuber news?
The VTuber who got arrested for the child? They were like, oh, it looks underage. It was completely safe for work. No worse than, maybe a little worse than anything I've seen Leaflet do. Literally arrested.
Okay, so that part... Did I turn my... Okay, I turned my mic down too far on the... I fucking hate this mic so much. Okay, let's try 15%. Let's see if that actually works. So I don't know. I've been told by people who did their own research into this, actually looked into the account, that there was definitely not safe for work material on there. And we did see people get arrested for having Blue Archive, right? In fucking United Kingdom and Ireland. So not exactly a free speech place haven, just there's a reason why the United States is the land of the free, right? Not the United Kingdom. But so I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but I'm pretty sure Misa Tamari will talk about that later. So we'll shelf that part of the conversation for right now.
And in the meantime, some underage girl is being dragged off the street screaming, they're gonna rape me, they're gonna rape me. And they made it illegal to release a video because it would cause social discord.
Yeah, okay. Well, there we get. I mean, that's a fair point to point. That's a fair thing to point out, right? You're literally elevating the fictitious over the real. It's a literal inversion of values. Now, a dialectical inversion, as one might say, right? Because the image is the thing that has primacy over the real. But, that's just my hypothesis on that particular situation. Or at least for that particular organization of values.
Oh, I have a fun story for you, actually, in regards to this. So,
tell me.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people in the gaming industry, and the funny thing about the gaming industry is there's a lot of people that are hidden Republicans or hidden conservatives. They don't want to you know what I mean? They can't say anything because oh, if I say something, people are gonna look at me different, for sure. And so anyway, I'm friends with some of these people, right?
I mean, it's the case in the mainstream art community too, right? There's a lot of people who don't necessarily agree with the Gramscian plot, but they kind of have to go along with it and not say anything because their livelihood is on the line. It's kind of funny, actually, because I did watch recently a video where a YouTuber who had a degree in law related to unions, right? He was talking about how unions are necessary for, in his view, because if you're arguing against a corporation for disputes regarding working conditions, well, you rely entirely on the corporation in order to get your funding for, your house, for housing, healthcare, all this yada yada yada, right? And it was well, it's entirely an unfair, conflict if this is the case, right? Because one side holds all the cards, and I remember thinking about all the mass cancellation complaints, right? All the mass cancellations. Oh, thank you for letting me know I'm coming in fine, Kura. Just so you know, I think there's a 30-second delay on the stream. Actually, hold on. Can I turn that off? Let's see if I can. I'll figure that out for next stream, right? But how else would you say that, right? If everyone in your industry is like possessed by leftist ideology, and you can't exactly be a right-wing person in that space, otherwise they will go after your job. And then again, people in the online have nothing better to do with their time, sphere on Zitter or Blue Sky. They fucking dogpile these companies on Reddit, again, to make it seem like you're a bigger issue than you really are. I'm going to talk about like unfair dispute conditions, right? Just a thought that came to mind, eh? So.
And they told, I had one person tip me off, like someone really, really high up. I can't say who, but they're very high up in the gaming industry, like one of the top people. And they told me, listen, Leaflet, you need to never, ever, ever go to the UK because it is not safe for you to go there. I was like, oh my God.
I would agree with this for a lot of people. Again, thank you for your support, Kura. I really appreciate it. But I would agree with this, right? Let's be fair. Anyone who's ever fucking watched anime, especially if you come from the millennial or Gen X generation, right? If you were watching anime, then there is no shot in hell that, for the most part, I guess unless you were like always uber or fucking like religious, which is a thing that is a small portion of the anime watching community. Not gonna pretend it's not. But if you were watching anime as a millennial or a Gen Xer, there is a high statistical probability that you have at some point consumed hentai. And if you were a hentai consumer, there is a very high statistical probability that you will eventually consume lolicon, even if by accident. It's just a thing that fucking happens, right? So, yeah, I would suggest if you're an anime person, just statistically speaking, just given that singular issue, I would suggest just not going to the United Kingdom. There are other reasons other than the roving rape gangs, right, that are in control of much of the United Kingdom right now, because it turns out the United Kingdom loves the foreigner that is destroying its culture more than it loves its own people. Well, maybe not now under Restore Britain, but we'll see how successful that is. I'm rooting for Restore Britain, but yeah, there's a number of reasons besides this. I would say probably don't go to the United Kingdom, right?
God, dude. And it's like, just thinking about that, like they can arrest you, right? Like if you go there, like they could just like have you on a list and they can just arrest you.
Absolutely. So you might not know this, but both my wife and I got our degrees in the UK. I got my undergraduate degree at St. Andrews, which is often the top ranked school there, and my wife got her graduate degree at Cambridge. And I remember I was quite terrified during my undergraduate degree because they had already begun to implement these sorts of really draconian practices. So, for example, if chat is unaware, in the UK, if you have any image, even if it's cartoon or drawn or anything like that, where it appears a woman is being hurt, you can be arrested.
No Riona. There's no Riona in the UK. Just just saying that. I actually find Riona to be very disgusting, to be perfectly honest. Like, I fucking can't stand that genre. But, apparently it's like illegal and jailable in the United Kingdom. So they hate it way more than I do. I'm just gonna say.
A cartoon, even if it's consensual.
I will also say the majority of Riona content is consumed not by men, it's actually consumed by women, it seems.
It's a huge problem when it was first announced because like Madonna had like BDSM stuff that she did like artsy and it cost a lot of money and everybody had to like rapidly sell it because it became illegal overnight. Like they are incredibly morally policing, and even the conservatives in the UK are quite cucked about this stuff. Like whenever we go, they're also sad and depressed and unlike, and this is what I'm talking about. Like you see this was Leaflet, right? Like consider like you could say, oh, Leaflet's a generic conservative, but not, hold on, I want to read.
Okay, I don't know if I would call Leaflet a conservative per se. I will have to read her, watch her stellar humanism thing at some point. That is in the pipeline. But that being said, yeah, be very well aware if you're an American rightist that any British rightist is not really your friend. Y'all are fast friends, right? They will absolutely stab you in the back if the opportunity arises. Because the values of a British conservative are not the same values as an American conservative, because we're not the same people, right? And that's not to say that I am a conservative either. I'm not, right? I'm a right libertarian. I'm a very, very right, very libertarian person. I also just understand that, again, like most right libertarians, you need to do cultural work in order to get to a point where that right libertarianism can actually be put into effect. So I'm not exactly, so it's like, I understand that it's not as simple as have the idea. You also need the cultural substrate for it to function in the first place. Same thing with monarchy. You know, monarchy doesn't work if the people don't believe in it. You know, ask me what happened to the French monarchy. Ask me what happened to the Tsar Nicholas, the absolute autocrat of Russia. You know, his divine right to authority didn't exactly stop him from being, his entire family, in both cases, being murdered by the common folk, right? It's the same thing with, like, republicanism. Republics don't work unless the people believe in the principles of the republic. That's actually why you're seeing so much chaos in the United States right now and us falling apart, is a lot of us don't really believe in the republic anymore. And if you don't have a people that believes in the republic, it doesn't really matter how much force you as the government bring to the table, because it turns out you are the minority, right? You will always be playing catch up to the main population. Even like North Korea. Well, you know, I mean, they've maintained their power for like 50 years, or more than 50 years. The only reason they've been able to do that is because they get backing by China, and it never worked. It never once worked, because it turns out there are some ideas that even if you believe in them, they just don't conform to reality, and so they just never work, right? So in order for an idea to actually function, it first of all has to be realistic. It has to be something that can actually conform to the principles of the real. Second of all, the people actually have to believe in it, because if they don't believe in it, it doesn't matter that the principles are true and good. It will not function, because no one's going to go along with it, right? So this is why it's like, whether you're conservative or whether you're like a centrist or whether you're a libertarian, left libertarians aren't libertarian. They are absolutely not. But you have to do cultural work to get people to a position where they will actually accept personal responsibility, where personal responsibility is baked into the culture. And that's actually why I am a right libertarian, is because there is no position of personal responsibility more hard line than right libertarianism. That is it, really as simple as that. Take control of your own destiny, right? that is the philosophy of right libertarianism. You are ultimately responsible for how you respond to what happens to you in life and what you choose to do with your life, right? That's not a conservative position. That is a libertarian position. Now, a lot of conservatives do import libertarian ideas into their worldview, but that's a conversation for another time. So yeah, and an example of this is, like, again, all these British conservatives will stab you as an American conservative in the back, or you as an American rightist in the back, is when Sargon of Akkad, you know, on the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, who had on multiple occasions, he even had a video on lolicons, funny enough, about how art isn't speech, and then he goes on in a separate video to talk about how art is the concretization of a metaphysic. It literally defining art as a speech act. It just goes over his head, because he holds this contradiction very specifically, because the contradiction isn't the problem, right? But anyway, so that much like faith without works is dead, ideologies without faith is dead. Yes, Kura, you are exactly right? Because these things don't exist on themselves. They exist instantiated in a person, right? There is no church without the individual believer. If there are no believers, there is no church, right? So it's like, again, the faith without the believer just does not exist. Same thing with, like, any kind of philosophy. If there's no one who actually believes in any of these things, then it's no longer real. It has gone extinct, functionally speaking, right? And so there's that. It's fundamentally speaking, the British conservative and the American conservative are not allies. At least they are allies civilizationally, in that, you know, America and the United Kingdom are good allies, and that, you know, actually can reinforce each other geopolitically speaking. But they do not believe the same thing. And as an American conservative, or as an American libertarian, you should expect that at some point the British conservative you will stab you in the back. I have never once met a British conservative who did not stab me in the back. Usually over the exact same reasons, but, you know.
some of these longer ones.
Yeah, go for it.
We can liberate the
It's
Brits.
the fun. It's the fun of it, reading chat.
We could liberate the Brits, is the thing. You know, they were only able to get one of their military ships working. Russia literally went through their harbor without caring. And they threw a big fit about it, but they don't have any like functional military left because they made it all super woke. So like, I don't understand why we're thinking about taking Greenland when we could just take the UK.
I don't want to take the UK. I don't want to take Canada. I don't want any of these people being able to vote. It is bad enough. Okay, so I'm gonna expose myself for being a Texan, right? It is bad fucking enough that a New Yorker or a Californian has any fucking say over what happens in Texas through voting in federal policies. Then, you know, God help me if I have to listen to a fucking Ontarian, right? Or if I have to permit the opinion of a fucking Englishman or God forbid a North Irishman to fucking influence my state. Absolutely fucking not. I don't know much about Greenland and its politics, but I don't imagine that they're much better than Canada or fucking the United Kingdom in terms of like how compatible they are with like Texas, with the Texas culture or the American culture, right? But yeah, so I'm gonna let myself be a state firstist right now for a moment. Yeah, but yeah, I mean technically we could. It's not like it's not like King Charles seems to believe in his own fucking position, right? He seems very, very clearly to be positioning himself as the last fucking monarch of the United Kingdom because he doesn't believe that his position actually has any kind of merit to it, right? He doesn't act the way that you would expect a king, even in a democratized kingdom, which is what the United Kingdom is. He doesn't act in the way that you would expect him to act, right? He has the legal authority to veto, picks to certain positions. He doesn't do that, even when it's very clearly a really stupid position, appointment to make. He has the ability to veto laws. He doesn't do it, even when it's very clearly detrimental laws. He is a king in absentia, right? He is a king in absconding his duty. Functionally speaking, again, the United Kingdom is like a king, is a kingdom functionally with an empty seat. So I feel for these people, but
this is what I'm in for, right?
Based.
Somebody says, I look, when my son becomes president, emperor, we'll have an expansionary period where we will reconsolidate Western civilization.
I would rather take Cuba back. Unironically, Cuba used to be American territory, and I'm pretty sure most of the people there are sick of communism, right? You take Cuba back and you expel all the communists out, send them to fucking China, I guess, and there you go. If you need more territory for X, Y, or Z reason for resources or something like that, you take Cuba.
I'm sure a lot of people would be for that in the UK, actually.
Right?
Too much tyranny over there. But okay, you want to know what's super crazy about this? So like, maybe I want to see. So I don't know this, but before I started streaming, almost all of my friends were European. I was like a late night, like I played late at night, and I streamed through late at night, right? So almost all of my friends were European and playing with Europeans. And here's the funny thing is like this was like maybe 10, 15 years ago. Think about like that time frame. I remember talking to them. And I got into an argument with one of them. I said, "Man, you guys have no freedoms, man. What are you talking about? You guys don't have freedom of speech." And they're like, "No, you're just so wrong. You're just so wrong, Leaflet. They would never take away our freedom of speech." And now I'm just like, what did I say?
How the fucking tables turn, right? Eurobro seething. Oh my god, the European Union was a mistake, right? We honestly should just dissolve NATO and be like, all right, fuck it. We're not giving you any more money. Deal with Russia however the fuck you want to, but it's not my problem anymore.
I say, guys, I told you.
Now, somebody here was saying that I want to do what Code Geass did, and I'm like, no, I would not make Japan District 11. Japan is very good at conquering people. They're a very good militaristic people. We just need to unleash Japan again.
I would agree. Japan, it would be a much better world if Japan had an actual military instead of a self-defense force. There are certain things that the JSDF are not allowed to do as per Japanese constitutional law that they should, as a self-sufficient nation, be able to do, especially when you got China saber rattling there, right? Just Just I'm saying, Japan, I think, has largely learned from its historical mistake. I want to see Japan become the greatest nation in Asia again. Just saying, right?
Did not cut themselves quite as hard as Germany did. They are ready to go. You know how I know they're ready to go? So Japan has had a problematic history of grape when it comes to going to other countries and conquering them. And so you would think if they were going to make an anime about going to a fantasy world and conquering it, they wouldn't be picking up waifus from the local population left and right. And yet Gate exists. And so I'm like, you know what? I think Japan's ready to go.
He has a point there. Ah, man. Yeah.
They're like, I go.
Isn't that the male fantasy? Go to a foreign land and fight for the right of your people against an evil regime, and then hey, pick up a hot foreign wife along the way, right? Not a concubine, but a wife, right? Just truly the dream. I knew people like that from the fucking Vietnam and Korean wars. Oh my god.
Went to Elfland, I got an elf bride. I go into freaking Furryland, I got a furry bride. It's like, what happened
Absolutely
to all the males
based
from this territory?
You know what? They've convinced me to watch this anime. I've actually never watched this anime. They have just convinced me to watch this anime.
I don't know. We don't talk about that.
They don't have faces.
There was some guns. Look, she appreciates me for liberating her from her pussy-ass native boyfriend.
Goddamn.
Japan people are like, would Japan really be that into going into China? And I'm like, you do not understand. Japan is waiting for China to make a move on Taiwan. Every night they jack off to this. There are Japanese soldiers every night saying, please take Taiwan.
Did you see the new
I
game?
want 5 Chinese wives tomorrow.
Well, they're gonna hate Trump because Trump kind of prevented that from happening with the whole Iran situation. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the last video I made about the Iran situation. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes, but we ended up talking about how Trump actually prevented World War III, didn't start World War III. And a lot of it had to do with preventing China from invading Taiwan by toppling Venezuela and Iran. But geopolitical entanglements aside, right?
Did you see there's a new Gate coming out?
There is. Gate was good. I like it.
But it's get this.
Is this all just about the anime? I was hoping that they would talk about like the actual situation.
Interesting is this? Gate 2 does not follow the story of Gate 1. It's
what?
The Navy. Why would they do that? Why would they do that, Malcolm?
God damn
Why
it.
would they do that? I wonder why.
I wonder why. No, they gotta tell every branch of the military about all the hot waifus they're gonna get when they go to war. Do you know that, there is no American story about going to war with another country and coming back with a bunch of waifus? Okay?
Not a bunch.
This is... What?
Not a bunch, yeah, not a bunch.
Not a bunch, but
Not a
some
bunch.
wife,
They're-
yeah.
No. They're like, you maybe fall in love with one person.
Yeah.
You certainly
You don't have a
come back
harem,
with a
though.
harem.
Yeah. Dude, the guy at Gate he even had like really badass women in his harem. That's so true.
I like the
Lolly
Mercury
Mercury
one.
Yeah,
Cool.
Rory Mercury. She
You got
gets
some
off
good
to people dying.
memory there.
Never seen Gate before. I've seen clips of it, but I've actually never watched an episode of Gate before. And damn, mentioned in Rory Mercury, I was like, I don't remember. I think that artist Yaffy actually drew Rory, did a couple pieces of Rory Mercury that were actually really nice.
She got off to like everyone dying in the city.
Yeah, which is of course hot. But so last time I was chatting with you, we were talking about anime.
Yeah.
People thought I just hated all old anime, right? And it's like, I absolutely don't, because somebody thought that I would have hated Trigun. And I was like, no, I actually think Trigun's boss. And we use Trigun clips in our show all the time.
Fair. It's a good point.
use, because it always got me, which I think is I don't know what fucking moral Trigun was trying to teach her, but Knives was right. It's the spider and the butterfly metaphor that they use. Do you remember this?
No, which one's that one?
Okay, so Knives, the bad guy. Do you at least remember Trigun more broadly, or did you not watch it?
I was little when I watched Trigun. I don't remember.
Trigun's good. Go watch it if you haven't seen it.
So anyway, it takes place when they're kids. The good character and the bad character are kids. And they're trying to show that this character is bad. And so the good character is trying to flee a butterfly from a spider's web. And the bad character comes in and just grabs and crushes the spider. And the good character and the caregiver look at him with horror. And he's like, why are you mad at me? You wanted to save the butterfly, right? And they're like, but I didn't want to kill the spider. And he's like, but the spider's an obligate carnivore. If it doesn't eat butterflies, it's going to die. You can't save both the butterfly and the spider. They're basically like, Knives, you're sick or whatever. And so he attacks him and he's like, I'm not wrong about this, Bash. Like, I don't understand you. And I feel like for so many of my like autistic friends, this has sort of been the situation with like Israel and Gaza, where it's like you have a population that says, I want to eradicate this other population, next to another population which is like, I'm okay with living next to people who are different from me. I'm okay with living with Muslims in my territory.
Oh my god, he fucking says it. I had to fiddle with my damn avatar again and it's still on the fritz. God. Whew. Anyway, I guess we're dealing with this too. But yes, he finally fucking says it, right? One of it. I hate Discord so fucking much. I guess I'm just gonna have to use the mute function on Discord. But anyway, so long story short, where was I? Oh yeah. Yes, we all know that like Hamas has, and like a lot of these Muslim organizations have the idea that again you have to genocide the Jews for the end times to come about, and it's in the fucking charters of Hamas itself, right? I love how like Apostate Prophet made a whole song like, making fun of them for that fucking thing. But anyway, yeah, it's like you can't really live next to a neighbor who's like, we will not suffer a single one of you to live. If you're just gonna be like, well, I don't care that they're there as long as they don't buy. That's not a sustainable situation, right? I don't think I should have to explain that. It should be like prima facie obvious, but yeah, and we can even see this with Lebanon. Most people, when they talk about Israel and Palestine, they don't talk about Lebanon because Lebanon was meant to be a Christian homeland in the Middle Kingdom. Not the Middle Kingdom, that's China, in the Middle East. And in the case of, like, again, you can even see it in the constitution of Lebanon. The prime minister has to be a practicing Muslim. The president has to be a practicing Catholic. Why was that the case? Because it was an experiment to see if you could get Muslims and Christians to coexist in the Middle East. You see how spectacularly that failed, right? So, and it wasn't because Christianity can't live alongside Islam. It's because Islam refuses to live alongside Christianity as an equal. There are, I could probably go into a whole like several hour diatribe about that, but I'm going to save that for another time because that might be a conversation I need to have about. The whole how this right-wing coalition we have is going to end up devolving into a internal civil war eventually, because we have very radically different ideas about what we actually want. Because I hate to tell you this, right-wing at this point just means anti-Marxist. That's all it means. Well, not even anti-Marxist, just like anti-specifically Gramscian methodology. Because even Shuonhead, who is granted not a right-winger, she is very still a leftist. She's still a socialist, but like even she, it's like do you really think that Shuonhead wants to live in the same society that Feeble Mind does, or that Feeble Mind wants to live in the same society that I do? I love both these people, right? I just don't want to live in the same society as them, right? I love y'all to death, right? I want y'all to have y'all's own society, which is why it's like, look, if necessary, I would support Texas divisionism and then Texas secessionism if required, but I don't think that is required or wise. So it's like that's why I don't promote the idea. Let's see. Kura says it's amazing. Rory is literally 990-year-old demigoddess whose body stopped aging at I think 16 and is 10 years from goddesshood. She literally absorbs the souls of those who die in battle to help them pass on to heaven and hell, depending of. Oh, she's a psychopomp. I didn't know that. Okay. So let's see. Little context for Gates, Rory Mercury. Interesting. That actually makes some sense of like some of the few scenes I have seen from Gate. I will definitely have to get into it. But yeah, I didn't know she was a psychopomp. That's
There's a lot in Israel, but this one population is like nobody other than me can live in this territory.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you can't continue.
Yeah, you can't have peace with people like that. Again, it's like it's the same thing with like the right wing movement we have. I love all my right wing friends to death, right? But the thing is again, we want to have very different societies, and some of us, not me, because I actually support the idea of maximal freedom on the right, but some of us would absolutely throw each other under the bus because fundamentally speaking, we have different societies we want to live in, right? A lot of these people could live in the society I want to live in. I wouldn't necessarily be permitted to stay in the society some other people would want to, live in. Just saying that. And we're going to see that when we get to the whole conversation about the Lolly Show issue as we get further on, right?
Continue to have both of those things next to each other. It's going to eventually lead to conflict. And so many of my friends who are otherwise like rational, like lefty people, like tried to explain this and basically got attacked just like Knives did. Like, they're like, but I'm not wrong about this.
Have you seen
kill the spider if you want to save the butterfly?
Have you seen the recent discourse on X? Like, there's about the red button, blue button.
Oh my god, I am so mad. I am so mad. I have an episode coming out about this.
Oh, good.
Channel because it's too harsh.
Oh, man.
Set up the thing. I gotta run to the restroom.
Okay, fair enough. That actually didn't cover the thing that I wanted to talk about. So now we will get into the video itself. I think it's like 3 minutes in. Well, it says 4 minutes. Actually, it tells me exactly how far I need to go in. Nice. All right, let's see what Misa Tamari research shows. Oh, I forgot I set it up this way too. Wait. Okay, there's the sound. I'm gonna keep the side chat open just in case to have a better understanding of the whole situation. I would agree with you, Kura. It's like the whole, I just want to be left alone. I want government not to have the power they have now. I want Islam and the whole woke shit about it for gone. Yeah, I would agree. I am a hard-line 10th Amendment person. If the fucking Constitution of the United States does not specifically outline that the federal government can do this, then it is the power of the people and states therein. Again, I don't give a shit of like what a New Yorker does to their own godforsaken state. I don't care about what California does to themselves, right? I don't care about any of that. They should have no ability to really impose any kind of political pressure or authority over Texas or over New Hampshire, right? So I'm a hardline 10th Amendment person. I think we really do need to press into the 10th Amendment thing. But a lot of these people aren't going to do that because once you press into that, you have to ask the question, well, does the federal government actually explicitly, not federal government, does the Constitution explicitly state that the federal government can impose this particular law on the rest of the United States? And the answer for a lot of these things that a lot of us on the right want, not the libertarian right, but more authoritarian rights, because authoritarian and libertarian, they're not absolutes, they're a spectrum, right? Someone can be more or less libertarian, someone can be more or less authoritarian, and ultimately speaking, it's actually pretty easy to explain the difference, right? A libertarian believes that the locus of responsibility and authority to make a decision on the libertarian side rests with the individual. The authoritarian says the responsibility and the authority rests in a extrinsic authority, right? Which is always a collective, right? No matter how you try to do authoritarianism, it's not possible to root it in anything other than the collective, because what is the actual, like, or, some kind of collective body, right? But yeah. Of course. Just off-rip muted. Just off-rip muted.
Chat. I'm not mute. Now let my music finish. God. Calm down, Mom. I was enjoying
Interesting.
my business.
Let me know how my volume does in this, because it seems like me and Mizu are actually more or less the same volume on my audio mixer. So if you need me to go up or Mizu to go down, let me know.
But yeah, how's it going, guys? How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a good day, good night, good evening.
All right, let's see what Mizu actually has to say, because this...
I have had a day, a wonderful day. Mostly making fun of Green Reddit.
Okay. Green Reddit is a good name for 4chan. Holy fuck. But also, fucking Beals Quill is absolutely funny right here. All right, femboy of the puddle, tell me your wisdom. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Kura.
I have a couple of random things going on, I suppose.
He lives!
Pizza cooking in the oven. Ooh. Picked up Motor Slice after watching you play the demo. Been pretty good so far. I wish I could play Motor Slice tonight, but I have other business, unfortunately, that I have to do.
It's giving me content, so I'm not going to complain.
But is this another one on the scoreboard for Mizu? Possibly. So we're gonna preface everything we're gonna talk about tonight with technically we could everything could blow up in our face in like a month or something.
I don't think so. So I guess before Mizu talks about this, I'm just going to say off rip, right, about this whole situation. I don't believe for a damn second any of this is real. I think I said this earlier in this recording. I don't believe a damn second that this Mimi person actually got arrested. Doesn't make any sense, right? I like off bat, I didn't believe it. And when I saw Romanian when I saw V talk about it, and he was like, as a lawyer, would you permit your client to put this out in this way? And the answer was no, obviously fucking not. Now, I don't know how the law in the United Kingdom works, right? But considering that we inherit a lot of our legal principles and our legal tradition from the United Kingdom, I don't imagine that it's like too radically different, right? But it's like, nah, if I was a lawyer and I had to deal with this client and they were in this position, absolutely on fucking no circumstances would I permit them to put this statement out in that way. Also, it just didn't make any sense. It's like, okay, so you got arrested for this crime and they let you get back on the computer, and then they just took your assets and then told you you have to like do this. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Hello there, Road. We're talking about we're talking about how Brit bongers, even on the right, will stab you in the back if you're an American. Oversimplification, but yes. Let's see. Kura says, so far the sound is about equal. No, okay. Thank you. So let's see let's continue. I just wanted to put that out there. If what was claimed earlier is true, yeah, sure, it's disgusting. At the same time, I'm a free speech absolutist, right? I'm of the opinion that art is the concretization of a metaphysic, right? It's a set of chosen values. It's a set of like chosen structures. It is saying something about, it's not just random images, right? There is a whole set of decisions that have to come into place to make that thing into what it is and to mean something, right? So art is the concretization of the metaphysic, and if it is a concretization of a metaphysic, it serves the same it serves a function very similar to religion and to speech. Because in speech, when you're explaining something, especially something about how you see the world, you're trying to concretize that metaphysic through your words to make it tangible, right? Or I guess to make it abstract if you're a communist. And, that's a lot of what religion aims to do, right? Is to make the metaphysic, that which is beyond the immediate sense perception, right? The reality of the situation. That the aim is to make that accessible to the human life and condition, right? So the function of art is the concretization of a metaphysic. It is a speech act. And by the way, I remember a coworker we were talking about this entire thing, and he made the observation, well, why does every free speech advocate like die on the hill of lolicon, even if they don't like it? because it is. I know you don't have to like it. No one said you had to like it, but it is still speech because art is a speech act by definition, right? But anyway, so if you didn't know about that, that is basically my position. So let's see how much I shoot myself in the foot.
But that would be a hot minute, right? As it stands now, with all the information we have, I think people really jumped the gun really hard and made themselves look super stupid.
I have a sneaking suspicion that this could be true, but we'll see.
So I'm gonna step over to the side here.
And to clarify, I do think when I was talking about this on Twitter, because I did make the statement on Twitter, I'm sorry, Dion Woodhill, the Lolly show thing, like Lolicon and Shotokan, right? Again, the whole thing of like, you don't have to like it, but it is still art and therefore still a speech act kind of deal. That's usually what they're talking about, because again, a lot of people who do support, free speech absolutism, by definition, they support speech that they don't like, because again, their free speech, second word is the informative part, absolutists, right? It's like a 2A absolutist. It's like, well, what do you mean that you support the ability to buy fully automatic, belt-fed machine guns? It's like, well, yeah, I'm a 2A absolutist, right? Thou shalt, it says, shall not infringe, right? So that's pretty fucking clear cut, right? You don't get to ban fucking machine guns, right? Let me have my fucking Heckler and Koch G11, right? I shouldn't have to. Oh my god. So yeah, that's what it means. Like, think about like how extreme, quote unquote, a Second Amendment absolutist would be, and then just apply that to free speech, and there's a direct one-to-one comparison. Absolutism literally means that. Absolutism. But anyway.
And we're gonna start pulling up a couple bits and bobs here and there. So, just so everybody is on the same page and we know what we're talking about, there was this post that popped up on Twitter the other day.
Okay, I'm going to read this because presumably, if this is the one I'm thinking about, it's going to become pretty apparent to anyone actually using critical thinking skills that, again, this was obviously fake from the get-go. So, Mimi Yanagi says, "Good morning, Bun Buns. Sincere apologies for the absence. Mimi has a long story to tell. On Monday, April 20th, Mimi was arrested by the UK police for possession of her artwork and her artwork alone." So the claim that is being made is that it is a particular, by some people, right, is that it's a particularly extreme kind of lolicon. But we'll continue. She's currently on bail pending the outcome of a criminal investigation into her accounts and activities. All her devices were seized as a result of the arrest. As a result of her bail conditions, Mimi has to move to a new account and is required to use a header name on her new account that her bail officers have agreed to. That, again, right here, this doesn't make any sense. Pragmatically speaking, this right here does not make any sense, right? What? Anyway, the account in question is Mimi Yabai. And again, it sounds just entirely fake. It sounds like a bad fan fiction writing, right? Like, literally, this translates to fucking Mimi bad. Yabai, right? The Japanese word for bad. Anyway, per her bail conditions, her activities for the foreseeable future had to be both SFW and fully transparent in order to prevent a breach of her bail conditions. If she was arrested for this alleged crime that was essentially a computer crime or an internet crime, why would she be allowed to go back on the computer and use the internet? Like, again, this doesn't make... Maybe Britain is more retarded than I think it is, right? But that just doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see. Mimi apologizes sincerely from the bottom of her heart for letting all of you down and for disappointing you in such a way. But just off rip, I don't believe this. This situation does not seem credible to me, but let's see what Mizu has to say.
And it was by a, I guess, pre-VTuber. It was somebody who wasn't actually streaming yet, called Mimi Yanagi. They said, "Good afternoon, Bun Buns. Sincere apologies for the absence. Mimi has a long story to tell. On Monday, April 20th, Mimi was arrested by the UK police for...
I really need to stop reading the thing at the beginning, because every fucking time I do it, well, not every time, but like 50% of the time I do it, the person in question reads it themselves.
Possession of her artwork and her artwork alone. She's currently on bail, pending the outcome of a criminal investigation into the accounts and activities. All of her devices were seized as a result of the arrest. As a result of her bail conditions, Mimi has to move to a new account and is required to use a header name on her new account that her bail officers have agreed to. The account in question is Mimi Yabai with 2 eyes instead of 1. That account has since been deleted. Per her bail conditions, her activities for this foreseeable future have to be both safe for work and fully transparent in order to prevent a breach of her bail conditions. Mimi apologizes sincerely from the bottom of her heart for letting all of you down and for disappointing you in such a way. So this led with mostly two reactions. Either kind of you were just on Mimi's side or you weren't. Most people on Mimi's side agreed that you should never be arrested for just art. You can't really, like, it's like a free speech issue. I will clarify, because a couple of people for this, is in the UK, it is possibly illegal. I don't know enough about UK law specifically to nail it down.
I mean, to be fair, I've literally seen lawyers argue about this issue on in the United States. So it's like, does anyone fucking know any of this shit at this point, right? That being said, I mean, even if it's not specifically illegal in the United Kingdom, it's still not going to stop them from arresting your ass, right? It's not exactly like the United Kingdom's government has been operating under like its own laws as opposed to some subversion of its laws for quite a while now, right?
But for anybody else, it's not. Anybody else in the world, it's fine. I am the researcher for the depths section of the Mimi thread. I'm willing to have a conversation with you. What particularly would you have to add? Specifically. Just as a side question. But to show the other side of the argument here, which I have hopefully have this person's name hidden because we don't really care about the person. We're not gonna go around messing with people today. You guys know I don't like that.
I mean,
so
yeah, I mean, fair enough, right? No doxing, no harassing people IRL for fucking pixels that don't have any referent in reality, right? That's also the thing in question, right? Is a referent in reality. If you're talking about, like, for example, the criminalizing depictions of a real identifiable individual, I could see that, right? I could see that as being a thing. This is not something that was actually happening in this particular case.
So anyone who creates CSAM material deserves to be arrested. She drew CP, that's a crime. She got arrested. It's sickening that so many people on my timeline are defending her and purposely acting like she was arrested for just a drawing. It was lolly porn. She deserves it.
Well, there's also this thing where it's like, again, this equivocation doesn't exactly help us, right? And you have to ask the question. This is actually one of the things that has been promoted on the left. The left also promotes this, right? The identification of fiction with reality. And in this particular case, it turns out that equating again, something that has no victim in the referent of the real, i.e. lolicon, with CSIM, actually gets the position of, like, when someone gets called a pedo online, the question gets asked oftentimes, well, are we talking about hentai, or are we talking about, like, someone who actually committed some kind of heinous crime against a real identifiable individual, right? That's a genuine question, because there is a world of difference, even if we assume that both are wrong, right? So I'm starting this with, like, I'm not taking up a consequentialist, deontological, virtue ethic, or rational egoist perspective. I'm just talking about just stepping aside for a moment, right? what any of these positions should be able to understand that there is a world of difference, again, between someone, let's say, not to be vulgar about it, right, but someone jacking off to, for example, the cast of Cardcaptor Sakura versus a real person, right? The obvious, if you say that there's no difference in there, you're fucking insane, right? You should be put in a box, right? And funny enough, if you really want the lolicon thing to, again, the Shotokan thing to be like actually like not contested, just put the people who can't discern fiction from reality in the box. That's literally it, right? Like, whatever you find out that, like, again, there's a shooter, and like, oh yeah, they played violent video games, but most of the people who play violent video games don't actually commit shootings. You want to know what's going on here? That was usually a person who was not able to tell reality from, like, sometimes it's the person who can't tell reality from fiction. If they had been put in the box because they couldn't tell reality from fiction, wouldn't have had to deal with this problem, right? Again, if you just put people who can't tell the difference between fiction and reality in the box, none of this is an issue. But, like, again, to obliterate the distinction between the real and, again, just like, lolicon. Because like, what we're talking about when we're talking about, like, CSAM and lolicon are radically different things, right? They are genuinely radically different things. Like, one has an actual real-world victim that has been hurt and needs to have justice, right? Another one is just another one is the fucking, not to bring up that old painting of, this is not a pipe. Guess what? This is not a pipe, right? That's the whole point, right? But anyway. So, yeah, like, it turns out the queer theorists actually approve of, and this should be an immediate red flag, right? The gay communists, the queer theorists, actually approve of obliterating the distinctions between lolicon and CSAM specifically for this reason, because it allows them a foot in the door to justify the map movement. And I don't want to justify the map movement because the map movement is evil and it's very clearly Marxist subversion. And we shouldn't be taking, like, notes from the fucking Marxists. But anyway.
So we had a lot of issues like this where people would acknowledge it was a drawing, but then they would say, but it's not just a drawing. You don't understand. It's not just a drawing. It's like, yes, it was. You could not like the drawing.
In fact, you can actually not like it to the point where, again, you actually disassociate with the person for making that particular piece of art, right? Because, again, art is a concretization of a metaphysic. What metaphysic are they concretizing, right? What are they actually saying? You could do that, because you can freely associate or disassociate with whoever the fuck you want, right? That's the whole concept of the right of, freedom of association. But that's a world of difference between, again, this, again, like, using the threat of the, using the monopoly of force in the state to enact this particular idea. And, there are people who will point out, and they're correct about this, that, like, laws are downstream from ethics, right? But guess what? They're downstream of a very specific part of the ethical question, specifically the ethical question of when is force, when is the actual laying of hands on someone actually permissible, right? When is it actually okay to potentially, again, take someone's property, which is a, use of force that if it wasn't from the state, you would be justified from shooting someone for, right? When is it acceptable to have the state, which has the monopoly on force, to go in and, again, take someone and put them in a box? That's the issue with the question. It's not just a question of, like, well, I don't like this, so it has to be illegal. No, the question is, in any case of law, because all cases of law ultimately break down to, is it permissible to use force to enforce this particular issue? That is the question, right? And to the free speech absolutist, their position is there actually has to be a referent in the real, i.e. a real person, not an abstract person, but a real person who is the actual victim of a crime in one of these cases. Like, for example, someone saying, I'm going to kill you, right? Threatening to kill you. Well, that is the initiation of force, right? That's not just idle free speech. That is them directly telling you they're going to kill you, right? You are permitted in that particular case to use force on someone because they've made it very well clear they will use force against you in this particular instance. They've told you exactly how they're going to do it. You have the right to respond in kind, right? But in the case of, like, fucking but in that case again, there's a victim in the there's a relevant victim in the real. It's not some abstract person who's, you know, pixels don't have rights kind of deal, right? There's no abstract person. Persons only exist in the concrete, and so that's where the law has to actually be focused on the concrete reality, reference to the concrete.
You've been claiming that I posted random images that Mimi didn't favorite, and I want to show you where they were favorited. I looked through every post. There were images that simply weren't favorited in there. Also, that's kind of irrelevant to my greater point that it's all still just drawings.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can defend a retard. That's not that hard to understand, right? If the person you're defending is retarded, you know, you could still defend them on the grounds of like, look, it was not appropriate for you to initiate force against this person for being retarded without them actually transgressing, so, you know, a boundary which force, the initiation of force is justified, right?
Which we'll get into. We'll get into. So.
And actually, I just noticed this. The description is lolly porn. Now, technically, hentai is porn, right? We're all going to agree with that, I'm pretty sure. Like, just definitionally speaking, it is porn. But there's, in English at least, because English is to be fair, in some ways, a more sophisticated language than a lot of other languages, just because we've had so much interaction across the world with so many ideas. We've imported so many words to make specific distinctions and associations. When people talk about porn, there is an inbuilt lack of distinction between, again, like a jav and hentai, right? Like, if you're talking about pornography, you could be talking about jav, which was involve real actors, or you could be talking about hentai, right? But in the case of hentai, if you say you watch hentai, almost certainly in English, almost every time, you're talking about something that is like completely fictional. You're talking about something that is drawn as a manga, or you know, as an anime, as some kind of anime. Or you're talking about like a game, right? You're not talking about something that is actually acted by a real human being as the actual character on screen. So again, it is interesting that it's phrased that way. It's like you could have said lolly hentai, but you chose to say lolly porn as a composite word. And I don't know if that was on purpose, but
this was followed up because a lot of people were trying to claim that this wasn't true, that there had to be something more, or that the arrest itself wasn't real. So Mimi sent this to one of her friends, which is this paperwork from the UK police, which is a pre-charge bail with conditions. So a lot of people are asking, well, what exactly is the charges? I did some looking independently into how the UK does things. If you have a pre-charge bail form, it is highly unlikely you have any charges yet. It's basically sort of like a
okay, that actually does clear up a little bit, right? That does clear up a little bit about this, because then the question is, like, again, why are they still on the computer if this is the case? Oh, none of it has gone forward in the first place. Okay, yeah, that actually clarifies that in the first place, right? She's basically just been warned about the proceedings. Hello there, Edo-sen. You're in for a bit of a ride.
We are putting you on a leash because we believe you have probably broken the law. However, we don't know what law you've broken yet, so we're just going to put you on the leash until we figure it out. This is...
That's a... Once again, America is the land of the free, not the United Kingdom, right?
Not abnormal. A lot of people were very confused and like, well, where's the charges at? They technically haven't been charged yet. So we will probably find that out in the future. Also, yes, Mimi was pre-debut. But this was provided to show for sure that yes, in fact, they were arrested and that the charges had not been brought up yet.
Wait, hold on. Someone in the side chat said, then there's MF's muddying the water, saying that when information broke about Mimi being allegedly trans, that we somehow pulled away defense, even though they're... wait, is this the so-called quote-unquote trans pedophile that was like, that Kirsha went off on the recent video she had? I think it was the Anna Valens response to everyone accusing Anna Valens of being a Nazi because she's allegedly a Kirsha supporter, when she's neither a Kirsha supporter nor is Kirsha herself a Nazi. So like this is completely just spellcasting on this part. Oh my god. Okay, fine. Today I learned, so I made a connection I didn't make beforehand.
But I thought we were all kind of on board. We were in the same headspace together. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping ahead of myself. Because a couple other people didn't like this still. And I wasn't going to show a ton of people, but I was going to show this person. Because this person is fucking wild, dude. This is from Hayden Hewitt. For the record, the demented shitstain was arrested for art depicting children in sexual situations carrying out sexual acts. Yep, they aren't real children, but if you draw this stuff or enjoy it, then just be glad you're getting arrested and not simply being thrown in a wood chipper. For people who don't know who this is the guy that helped co-found LiveLeak.
Okay, that's actually funny. Hold on, that's actually funny because this actually brings up an important thing. So, fucking course, it's the guy who helped found LiveLeak. So interesting thing. I probably should should reach out to this guy. I was watching a video of a Mexican content creator who was arguing that the videos that the cartels make and that terrorist organizations make, right, of them beheading their victims, that they themselves release, should be criminalized themselves, right? And the arguments he made are actually really similar, if not like very explicitly similar, to the same reasons that like CSEM is rightly illegal, right? Because like again, like even if you don't like download it on your own machine or anything like that, even if you just go there and you provide views, guess what? This does boost this material up to like this sends a signal to the person making it, this depraved content, to continue making more of it. So again, like there's a reason why even possession of this stuff is illegal. First of all, there's a real victim in the real world that you are victimizing by having this in the first place, right? The same thing with CSIM, the same thing with all these fucking cartel beheading videos, right? They both should be illegal under the same basic premises, right? In both cases, right? Online interaction with this material outside of reporting it to the fucking FBI, which you should do, right? Outside of that, what ends up happening is, again, you provide a signal boost for these people, which then encourages them to actually make more of it, right? So there's a reason why, again, it's so fucking sensitively charged, why it's so sensitive a subject matter that they'll charge you about it for this reason. There is an actual reason for this, right? So, and I actually agreed with the guy, right? After I heard him explain a lot of his ideas, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I actually think it's reasonable to make cartel beheading videos actually illegal for the exact same reason that CSEM is illegal. I actually don't disagree with him at all about this, right? And he himself is a free speech activist, right? So, but that's not free speech. But anyway.
You know, the website where people would post videos of people getting killed.
Yeah, it's like there's a substantial difference between like a security cam footage of someone getting hit by a truck because the truck had a fucking blown out tire and then it fucking swerved into someone and like fucking caved their fucking like pelvis into a wall, right? Like that's substantially different than like, again, a video of the cartels kneeling someone down and then fucking slitting their throats and like having the camera watch them die, right? There's a substantial, you could find both of those on LiveLeak. Right? So there's not exactly a moral ground for this guy to stand on, for the exact reason that like some of the stuff that was on LiveLeak should have been highly illegal is the exact reason that like the CSIM is illegal, to be perfectly honest. This guy doesn't really have and again, why is he obliterating distinctions, right? Again, we've already established that there is a significant distinction between, again, something that's just literally a abstract person that has no referent in the real world versus that which is a representation of a real identifiable person, someone who can be a victim, right? That's the actual thing here. Someone who can be considered a victim. Or, again, it's like the whole thing with like revenge porn. The reason why that's illegal is because it's a real victim. A real person is actually being victimized by the distribution of that material, right? But you can't do that in the case of like, if you pull out some doujin, for example, and it happens to be like, let's pick something that would be, let's pick something at random. The lyrical Nanaho, right? Let's just use that as an example. Point to me the specific individual that is the actual victim of this particular crime, right? If it was a drawing of a person, you could do that. You could actually point to a very specific reference in the real, in the concrete, outside the abstract. But in the case of like, again, if you do it for like hentai, it is just an abstract. There is no concrete reference. Nikura says, I take this all in a very simple manner. Do I want someone arrested because I find something abhorrent? No. Do I think it's disgusting? Yes. That is the exact point I'm making, Kura. Would I want anything lawfully done about said art? No. Do I... Hold on. Let's see. Do I think any legal action or law should be changed to persecute those who make works of fiction I disagree with? Hell no. I think this is a reasonable position. You see, based on these distinctions, I view this as abhorrent, but not something the government needs their draconian hands involved with to make arbitrary laws to harm free speech. If this had not been fiction, different story, entirely locked them the hell up. I rambled a bit. Yeah, no, that's entirely fine. I appreciate when people actually ramble on these things, but yeah, no, that's my entire position as well, right? It's like, does it concretize a malevolent metaphysic? Yes, but guess what? So does like blasphemy as a speech act, right? That concretizes a malevolent metaphysic, right? So does, again, idealism, where you place the idea as primary over the real. That also concretizes through a speech act, a very dangerous metaphysic, right? In fact, that's actually a large part of the issue with much of what's going on under the ideological subversion in queer theory, in Marxism, in like critical race theory, and all these things we're complaining about, right? It's all the same thing. You subvert the most fundamental. But again, we don't punish those. Because again, it's a speech act. It's not actually, there's no specific victim in the real unless they make a threat against someone, right? So, again, you could play this exact same game with like literal speech.
Actual real human beings. Somebody replies to all this coming from one of the founders of LiveLeak, which hosted actual child gore. And all he could say back is, you weren't supposed to jerk off to it. That is demented. That is genuinely demented.
Yeah.
Like thinking.
This guy is
this is the actual.
Yeah, so that guy is like, he knows the point being made. This guy absolutely, he's not being retarded. I very strongly suspect this guy is being malicious in how he's misunderstanding what the point is. I think he understood the point. I think he also just decided to not address the point.
One of the co-founders of LiveLeak. He is an insane person. I mean,
this guy's he's the founder of LiveLeak, right? The definition, like, does anyone remember the Tool song? Vicarious? Because I need to watch things die from a good, safe distance. It's kind of like the motto of LiveLeak.
Personally, I was always a bit iffy on LiveLeak as a concept in general back in the day. I was kind of roped into the idea that it was like some form of free speech, but there was always some part of me that was like, I don't think videos of people dying or being maimed it feels like it shouldn't be free speech, and I don't know.
I would argue that, again, in the case of like someone who actually like dies randomly, like, again, let's say someone's like working on a site and there's a fucking bubble in a 18-wheeler tire, and like they're like, oh, let me go and pop this fucking bubble on this 18-wheeler tire. We all know anyone with any kind of common sense knows what's going to happen if you pop that bubble with like a fucking scissor or anything like that. And yes, there were videos like that on LiveLeak, where it's like, again, you're just gonna watch a person die, right? No one caused that except for the stupid decision of the person who like did that, you know, mistake. Another example of something that you could find on LiveLeak, you just find things of like, I remember there was a video of a guy in like from India who was walking around on a train top, and he was very clearly schizophrenic. He was very clearly something like detached from reality. And then people tried to get up to grab him, and he just reaches up, and this is India, so there's a fucking power line over the train track, and he grabs the train track, and he lights up like a Christmas tree, catches on fire, and then falls dead. Right? And you can't exactly save that guy. Those are distinct and different. Anyone can see those and be like, all right, this is different than, again, a cartel or a fucking terrorist video of someone getting murdered to promote fear of the cartel or the terrorist organization, right? And if you can't see the difference between those two, again, I'm sorry, but like you're not really paying attention. There's a very substantial difference there. And yeah, I would agree that like that latter half, right, the people killing people in order to promote terror against a particular organization, that probably should be illegal. That shouldn't be considered free speech. But it's not even a speech act when it comes to like the fucking like the actual security cam footage. That's just documentation. That's not actually free speech. That's just documentation of what happened, right? So it's a categorically different issue.
If that makes me a hypocrite or not, maybe I am a hypocrite when it comes to that.
I'm gonna try to find the really Mexican author I was talking about earlier.
You're like, yeah, I had a site that hosted videos of kids dying, but like, you have anime drawings. Yeah, buddy, right. Same thing. Totally. Right up.
Again, the whole point of the dialectical inversion is that the idea comes before the real, and here we have a literal example of the idea coming before the real, right? Again, the drawing comes before the before the concrete. The abstract comes before the concrete.
The same alley. And yes, people have kind of moved to Telegram for that, apparently, because Telegram is mostly, I think it's hard for them to find you on Telegram or something. I think that's why the Russians use it.
It is.
And the boomers. Apparently the boomers got lured into Telegram.
They did. Most of the boomers I know use Telegram.
But we had kind of... He kind of got shouted down. Like, you can even see on this that he got a community note put on this. The guy, people basically just agreed, yeah, guy's a psycho. Like, we shouldn't do this. This is not okay.
Okay, so it says, LiveLeak hosted gore of children, which falls under child abuse material and is illegal whether it is sexual or not. Well, this is also a UK site thing, too. So definitely under the United Kingdom. That wouldn't surprise me. And, yeah, again... This is not a speech act. Hosting documented like documents, like documentation, like of like a camera is not necessarily itself free speech. Like what volition was involved in this, right? When you speak, there is like decisions you actually have to make. What phonemes are you articulating? What are you trying to say? How are you intending to be received, right? It's the same thing when you're making art. What exactly are you doing with composition? What's the form? What structure are you using? What signs and symbols are you articulating into a coherent whole? Are you articulating coherence and clarity? Are you being obfuscative, right? There's a whole list of decisions that go into making art, whether AI or like hand-drawn. And yeah, it's very clearly still a speech act. But like, just catching the fucking video, just like being the guy who's like recording JFK like in the car rolling down the street, and then all of a sudden pop, and his fucking head explodes like a watermelon, like in front of his wife. That's not a speech act. That's literally just documentation of events, right? Like, again, I don't understand why this is a complicated like issue that people can't seem to disentangle.
Why is Discord booping me? I don't think there's anything on here. But then I wake up one day and like everybody is suddenly turned on the Mimi situation. I'm confused. I'm like, why are we all turned on Mimi? I thought we were kind of in agreement that drawings are drawings and we shouldn't police the drawings. And I finally have somebody send it to me and they're like, Mizu, you need to read this. And it's this Twitter thread by Proctor Zakharov. And this is the one that really seems to have turned the tides against Mimi while I was asleep.
Yeah, have a good day, Rod. Thank you for stopping by. Like, I'm sorry that it was such a a bit of a clusterfuck of a subject matter, but I hope you have a lovely day.
Before I touch on his thread, I need to point out that Proctor Zakharov is somebody I have a bias against. I have a bias against him because he believes all lolly is child illicit images.
How do you explain Rebecca from like Edge Runners, right? Oh wait, that's probably going to be the argument that she doesn't count, which then goes into the definitional argument, which I had with another VTuber, and where like we left on good terms in that argument, even though we had like different opinions on whether or not like lolly should be legal or not. But ultimately speaking, a large part of it was also just we found out that we were defining the terms in different ways, and that we both understood that depending on how you define the terms affects a lot of the moral calculus in this. But yeah.
And I know
and that we both were being genuine about it. Like neither of us were actually trying to be bad faith. We were actually trying to engage with each other in good faith. We just ended up disagreeing on the subject matter.
that because he has said it to me before. I have been banned from his Discord because he believes I'm a pedophile.
Oh my god. Hold on. So I'm gonna rewind just a bit so we can read this fucking screed, and then we'll read the next screed, right? So Proctor Zakharov says, so let's talk about the Mimi Yanagi situation again. To briefly recap, Mimi was a VTuber who was arrested by the UK police for possessing dojins and other anime paraphernalia. They forced her to dox her real name on her social media accounts. As a result of this injustice, thousands of people leapt to her defense, calling the United Kingdom police incompetent fools or harassing a harmless woman possessing innocent material. At least that was the narrative up until today, but thanks to the efforts of KiwiFarms, this has been proven false. Mimi Yanagi has actually Jordan Williams, a biological male with a years-long history of openly embracing pedophilia online. Let's see, Jordan, despite spending several £1,000s of taxpayers' money, he is on welfare because he refuses to get a job on a VTuber model, and commissions for it has never actually streamed. This is certainly because if he were to stream, his identity as a man would be immediately revealed. Let's see. However, Jordan's identity as a pedophile is much more relevant here. This is not a term I use lightly because it is thrown around far too often. However, Jordan is extremely blatant about these vile predilections. Within hours of his announcement of the arrest on Twitter, KiwiFarms members had already found his Pixiv account. Here is where things get truly disturbing. For many years, Jordan followed various pedophile artists on Pixiv. Were they pedophile artists or were they lolly show artists? Right? This is not an allegation or supposition. These pedophiles self-identified, and then it doesn't proceed, continue. So I can't really see any citations he provides. But Mizu usually has citations, as you can see by the actual showing of the screenshots.
I know that because he has said it to me before.
Okay, so I just removed Mizu from the TVA Discord. My users alerted me to his recent public defense of the pedophile -8. We universally agreed that this is unacceptable and he is no longer welcome in our community under any circumstances. I have previously been willing to politely overlook incidents that hinted at endorsement of lolly hentai due to their ambiguity and isolated nature, but openly siding with and defending a man who directly unambiguously stated that he drew NSFW of children because it was illegal to have sex with them in real life, and drew artwork depicting himself raping children is an act that is impossible for me to overlook. I need a citation for this. Let's see. I do not care if he was mentally ill, in quotation marks. Reviewing the material that was submitted to me regarding his productions was deeply viscerally revolting to me, and neither I nor my community will have, and then it cuts off there. Again, I'm going to stand on the basic principle of, you have to actually provide some kind of evidence. You can't just say something, right? Oh, shit.
And from his Discord because he believes I'm a pedophile. So this is about where he's at. You need to understand when we read this thread that,
I mean, Mizu is very clearly not a pedophile. And like, if you're throwing around the pedophile accusation at Mizu, how reluctant really are you to call someone a pedophile, right? Just immediately not exactly a good stepping stone in this conversation.
he believes all lolly is child porn. Like all of it. Blanket all of it. And that's something you have to understand when you're reading his position on this.
Yeah, this goes back to the whole appearances versus reality thing, right? If something appears to be the case, then it is the case. So it's like appearance is reality. This is a very Gnostic inflected way of reviewing the world, because the traditional way of viewing the world is an understanding that appearance does not always reflect reality. And so you actually have to move past the appearances in order to get to reality. This is very basic Aristotelian and even Platonic metaphysics. But, you know...
Were you banned from TVA? I am banned from TVA. I am banned from the TVA Discord, and all of my friends are banned from both of them. Because he said my friends were defending pedos, so they had to go too.
Well, I mean, if you call Mizu a pedophile and then like someone defends Mizu, then they're definitionally in that particular. You can see the chain of logic there, defending pedophiles. So even if it turns out to be like incorrect, that the person you're accusing of being something is actually that thing. If people disagree with you, well, you're definitionally defending them, and therefore you're booted out, right? That's the chain of logic that seems to be followed here.
He is a character. He is a British femboy who is hopelessly in love with Kirsch, even though she will never notice him.
Ah!
He is really hopelessly in love with Kirsch. Like, it's pretty bad. Believe it or not, that will be relevant later.
Oh no.
But he puts out this big thread. Says, so let's talk about the Mimi Yanagi situation again. To briefly recap, Mimi was a VTuber who was arrested by the UK police.
I did it on instinct again.
For possessing doujins and other anime paraphernalia. They forced her to dox her real name on her social media. As a result of this injustice, thousands of people leapt to her defense, calling the UK police incompetent fools for harassing a harmless woman possessing innocent material. That is where we agree. This is where we begin to immediately disagree. At least, that was the narrative up until today. But thanks to the...
Sorry, I'm downloading a video about like whether or not the Viltrum Empire can survive the Powerpuff Girls.
efforts of KiwiFarm.
So if you wonder what the downloading thing was, that was
false. Mimi Yanagi is actually someone called Jordan Williams, a biological male with years-long history of openly embracing pedophilia online. Don't worry, we'll get into that. Jordan, despite spending several £1,000s of the taxpayers' money, he is on welfare because he refuses to get a job on a VTuber model and commissions for it, has never actually streamed. This is certainly because if he were to stream, his identity as a man would be immediately revealed. However, Jordan's identity as a pedophile is much more relevant here. This is not a term I use lightly because it is thrown around far too often. Just
there may be a lack of self-awareness here.
So we're clear. He throws it around very often. Very, very often. However, Jordan is extremely blatant about his vile predilections. Within hours of this announcement of arrest on Twitter, KiwiFarm members had already found his Pixiv account. Here is where things get truly disturbing. So before we continue, thank you, EditorZen. Kirsch is vaguely aware of what's happening, but has defaulted to her usual, I'm going to wait and see, but it looks bad. That's pretty standard for Kirsch.
I mean, that was basically my position. Like, the whole thing was like, at the beginning, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Although it seems to have been explained very poorly to me, so I am glad that I didn't exactly jump to any conclusions. And my first conclusion was, again, I think this is not even real. So it's like, why would I be upset about this, right? But I mean, if this is real, then again, like, this is really dumb. But yeah, I think people are letting their emotions get the better of them and not actually thinking things through. This happens a lot with this subject matter.
For many years, Jordan followed various pedophile artists on Pixiv. This is not an allegation or supposition. These pedophiles self-identified as pedophiles through their tags and content descriptions.
I'm gonna also pause this here because I have to remind people that I think it was in the that Japan actually did, contrary to what people believe, outlaw child sexual abuse material, right? I think there was a period of time where both in Japan and I think in like the Danish kingdom, there was a period of time where those were actually legal things that you could like buy and distribute. I think Atrocity Guide, is that her name? Has like a whole video on like the Color Climax Corporation, for example, to see like what the Danes were up to back in the day, and it's legitimately horrifying. And I think Colonel Otaku Gatekeeper actually got to interview, no, he did get to interview one of the child actors in that company, and it's fucking harrowing to actually read the accounts that they related. But yeah, no, Japan outlawed this material, right? In fact, mangakas sometimes get arrested for, again, possession of this exact material. What they didn't do anything about was, again, depictions that have no reference in the concrete. And I happen to agree with Japan on this issue that, like, if there's no referent in the concrete that's a victim, it's probably not wise to start using force against pure abstractions. But yeah, so I highly doubt it. I highly doubt Pixif is like this nested fucking hive of actual pedophiles spreading CSEM everywhere, to be perfectly honest, right? Because Pixif is hosted in Japan, and you want to guess what would happen if you hosted a site like that in Japan? Your ass would get raided, right? It's not that fucking hard to understand, right? Pixif is one of the most well-known art platforms out there. They would have been fucking busted about this. So it's like, Nah, bro. You're gonna have to provide me some kind of news stories and citations that actually are clear and honest about this, right?
Furthermore, the art they produced included highly realistic depictions of children and toddlers in sexual situations, including rape and bestiality. You know what? I'll read through the whole thing and then we'll get to it. A major artist who Jordan loved and boosted repeatedly on Pixiv is Blue Borscht. Blue's artwork is unabashedly pedophilic. He draws children being raped and molested by adults. By the way, this is 100% demonetized stream. There is no way around it. I'm demonetized as shit.
Yep. I don't have to worry about that. I don't make money off my streams.
He draws... I'm not reading it again. With his works featuring phrases like Child R-Word Club and Child P, drawn on the bodies of the children being depicted in them. Another of his favorite artists is Din Bako. A common tag for Din's artwork is pedo, which they phonetically spell using hiragana, just so there can be absolutely no misunderstanding or translation errors. Din Bako draws kindergartners being R-worded and molested. Yeah, the demonetization is happening. 100%.
So, like, what is the citation he provides for this, right? Like, these are a lot of claims, but, like, what is the actual citation?
I will say that I found out afterwards that apparently Blue Borscht and Dembako were actually pretty popular artists. I genuinely hadn't heard of them before.
Who the fuck are these two? I've never heard of these two. Like, I have a Pixip account, and I've never heard of these two.
For particularly Blue Borscht. I'm probably saying it wrong. But I found out a lot of people that I guess they didn't read this far, because as soon as I, like, pointed out who the artists were on my tweet, they're like, oh, that's Blue Borscht, I know them. I was like, fucking what? So yeah, I genuinely didn't know them. This has, without any exaggeration, been some of the most vile shit I have unwillingly been exposed to on the internet.
Did you report it to the FBI by any chance? Right? Did you? Like,
investigating it was so sickening that even hardened internet sleuths were finding it difficult to continue.
What?
They were not. They were posting plenty. It was... I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, so it's in the works. We will hear about
gotta
it.
keep going. The most damning part of it all was that it was all out in the open. This did not require an intense effort to discover. Uncovering his history of pedophilia took a few Google searches. Uncovering his identity as a man took only a little more effort. In my initial post about this story, I loudly warned people not to blindly support him, due to the very strong likelihood they were a real pedophile. The signs were right there in the initial post, and even a tiny amount of digging confirms them all beyond all possible doubt. I have to point out, and you guys will probably notice this, when you meet a malicious person, kind of in the drama space. Notice how even though the entire thread is talking about one person, he never uses he or him or his. He never uses impersonal pronouns. He always uses the full name. The purpose of this
You know what? Actually, that's a good point. I've never actually noticed that before. I'm gonna have to keep a lookout for that from now on. That's actually a really good point.
is to intentionally spread the docs as far as they possibly can. The only reason I am covering the post uncensored is something we will talk about later. We will get there. They could have very easily escaped this situation. It took less than 4 days for these revelations to be consolidated on KiwiFarms and made public for easy consumption. Even prior to that, some people were already voicing rational skepticism and pleading with others to exercise restraint. But no, the wagons were circled, and people were much happier to just blame the police for persecuting an obviously innocent, cute, ooh-woo small bean than contemplate any other alternative. He is such an annoying twat. Like, I don't know why you're so flowery in all of your language. You sound like such an idiot, dude. Huge accounts unthinkingly parroted this story. Some pillars of anti-censorship community bought into it and spent days arguing in Jordan's defense. None of them bothered or cared to do the most basic amount of research to see if Jordan was someone worth tying their relationships to. Now anyone with an even slightly pro-censorship platform has an endless orgy of evidence with which to declare the other side as reckless child endangering seal clappers. I am not entirely sure I disagree with this anymore. A link to Jordan's KF thread will be pinned in the header of the virtual asylum for the next week. Anyone who cares can go confirm for themselves that everything I have stated is true. Anyone else who continues willfully denying this man is a pedophile after this point.
Oh my god, he really did the whole, if you disagree with me for any reason, you're a pedophile. Oh my god. Oh, fucking course. Every goddamn time, right? Every time you get onto one of these hardliners, it's like, oh yeah, if you disagree with me, then you're the exact, then you're the thing we're talking about, right? It's like, oh yeah, if you don't believe that, like, oh my god, you can see this on like both sides of the aisle, right? It's like when you get that sacred cow, when you get that thing where it's like, oh yeah, if you disagree with me on any of these things, well then you're X, Y, or Z, right? See this all the fucking time with like the left when they say, oh yeah, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, you're a homophobe, you're a sexist, you're a like all kinds of shit, right? But again, you could see this all the fucking time when the right purity spirals too, right? When the right purity spirals, then they do the exact same thing. They just have different buzzwords that they use. And one of which they'll use is, again, this is one of the ones they'll use. They'll just, again, call people pedophiles for just like, oh yeah, they like anime titty. Fucking what? Oh my god.
Will get no mercy from me. The woodshed.
Or, you know, sometimes they'll just call you a communist for supporting or like going against their particular thing, and it's like, yeah, sure. The far right, you know, libertarian guy who is absolutely anti-abortion because, again, they believe in an Aristotelian metaphysic of the human being. Yeah, sure, he's a communist. Fuck off, right?
Chipper is hungry. I have to point out, and I said this in another tweet, and a lot of people don't seem to understand this. The Mimi thread has this alleged illegal art all over it. It's technically censored, but it's all over it.
Yeah, that's another way that you could tell that these people are actually fucking outside of their mind, right? Is the thing is like, it is illegal to save any kind of CSIM material to your machine. Like, if you happen to come across it on the fucking, most likely on the surface web, if you happen to come across it, just fucking report the post to the FBI. All you do. Don't save it. Don't fucking linger on it. Fucking just, again, report it to the FBI. The FBI will be able to figure out what the fuck happened, right? But these people, every fucking time, you will have these basically SJRs, right? As what Ember Paradox would call these people. You have these SJRs who will be like, oh yeah, we're gonna copy this particular image of lolicon that we're saying is basically CSIM. Then we're gonna censor it, and then we're gonna redistribute it online by posting it online so that everyone can see the CSIM material we saved to our computer to therefore, you know, expose this pedophile. When again, it's just fucking lolicon, right? They don't believe, you could tell immediately they don't believe it, because they wouldn't have done that if it was like a real image of a real person, or even if it was like a photorealistic image of. Now there is an argument you can make about banning the photorealistic stuff too, right? There is a real argument you can make there, because especially like if it's photorealistic, then you call into question all evidence potentially that you could use in any of these cases. Right? Because if it's indistinguishable from real life, then none of this, then there's no way to determine whether or not it is real or not. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, there are boundaries you can obviously find through the use of your reason faculties when they're not clouded by emotions. But, you know, yeah.
I hate to inform you, Proctor.
But yeah, if Proctor's correct, that he is directly himself guilty of the distribution of child sexual exploitation material. I don't think he wants to play this game. No one wants to play that game. As soon as you call them out on it, they come up with all kinds of justifications of why, oh, what they did is illegal, but what I did is I'm just trying to get the word out there. Like, but if you take their logic to its actual conclusion, they themselves are distributing CP. What the fuck are we doing here, right?
As you are also a British man, that Mimi, same as Mimi apparently, it doesn't matter if it's censored. If you are sharing what you are telling people is illegal CSAM, but you've censored it, that's still a crime.
Yep.
And I've warned people about this multiple times. If you believe something is CSAM, you cannot save it, you cannot share it, you cannot bookmark it, you cannot do any of that. What you do is you take the link at the top and you send it to the police.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was just saying. Oh my fucking it is unreal how people do not understand this, right? There are some retards who will genuinely just not understand this basic premise and then show that they're genuinely retarded by doing exactly what I was just complaining about, right? It's like, oh yeah, I've already bitched about it enough. Oh shit, wrong button.
If it's like in a Twitter DM, it's in your DMs. Twitter has their own reporting system for that. You cannot save it. You cannot share it. It is still criminal. Doesn't matter if it's censored or not. This has been tried in court multiple times with the real stuff. Like,
yeah.
You cannot do that. Ever.
I mean, yeah, and it's obvious why. We already literally talked about why it would be illegal to do this, right? Because, again, you're talking about something, what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the hypothetical situation. Well, in his case, he's talking about, like, examples that there are real examples in case law, where it's like, again, there's a real reference, a real victim, and then you're re-victimizing that person by fucking, again, you know what, at this point, it's a Darwin Award thing. I'm not even going to explain it. if you genuinely can't figure out why this is a bad idea to do, and why that's illegal, maybe you should Darwin Award yourself and do something stupid enough to actually, get yourself removed from the gene pool.
So if you truly believe what Mimi did is a crime, you are going to be in the cell right across from her, British man.
My God, you know what? That would be such a funny thing. Maybe I should gen that, actually. Just fucking Mimi and this guy just right in the cell next to each other. That would actually be such a funny gen.
You can't do that.
I'll be right back. I need to grab myself some water.
Yes, unless you're a politician. If you're a politician, then you get free reign.
Oof. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't leave until that joke was made.
That's the way the world works for some reason. So the first thing I want to touch on is I'm going to use somebody else's tweet, which I don't normally do, but I'm doing it because this is a particular thing I do not give a shit about. But the allegation that Mimi is this Jordan guy is tenuous at best. They basically just, for like one of them, they basically just said that they had the same name as somebody else on eBay. Like that was their smoking gun for that, is they had a similar name as somebody else on eBay. Congrats, I guess. And the other one was, no joke, a connection between his account, this, and this, is they all have an interest in card games.
Really? I mean, I know KiwiFarms has had I know KiwiFarms, sometimes makes mistakes about this shit, right? Everyone who does this kind of attempting to doxing stuff eventually has a fuck up like this. But did I miss any okay, hold on. Let me go back 5 seconds to see if I 10, 15. Okay, so I guess we can read through some of these. I'm skeptical some of the information gathering process have the small issue of, being a little over the top. Interests in card games don't warrant 3 accounts being the same person, nor do usernames. That's another thing, yeah. Are we forgetting that, Jordan and Williams are common first and last names, right? Even if it was a Jordan Williams, do you have the Jordan Williams? Let's see. Interesting card games don't warrant 3. Okay, accounts being the same person, nor do usernames. I've seen 1 billion Walker 64s on breaches. They aren't all me. Fair enough. And he's responding to read the KiwiFarms thread. He tried to link Mimi's online persona based on someone having a similar username to an eBay account. I might have been wrong in this whole time. I'll make a thread seeing... Okay, so that was him talking about that, and then the response is him saying that this is a non-issue. It would have been really nice to have the rest of that to read. So we're going to just read these from there, because I know that that's what we're dealing right now. These are all the usernames which were found in the OP besides Felix Dawnstar, and that was found by Notorietus, checking breaches for Felix Lovestar. Interesting. A connection between his Nebula Link, Stardust, Faye, Caleb, Wolfgang usernames is that they all had an internet interest in card games. Yeah, that's pretty fucking tenuous at best.
A connection between his account, this, and this, is they all have an interest in card games.
Pack it up, boys. All comic readers are the same person. Pack it up, boys. If you watch anime, you're all the literally same person, right? Oh my god. Everyone who plays Yu-Gi-Oh, there's only one. Every Yu-Gi-Oh game is just one man playing against himself.
Oh yeah, sure, buddy. Card games, that super niche activity. It got you.
You watch VTubers? You know what? There's only one person in this thread, this chat of 1,000, right?
And I will say, again, I did not look deeply into this because I don't care. I don't think if Mimi is a guy that it matters. It only matters if you're trying to date them. Every VTuber is to some degree quote unquote fooling you about who they are. That's just VTubers.
I will say, there is an interesting thing that, like, VTubers on the left like to carry themselves more as a character than VTubers on the right. Now, I would like to do more, like, kayfabe type stuff eventually, but I'm currently in the politics grind, right? So, maybe in the future. But, yeah, there is that little bit of distinction where it's like, there is more of a disconnect from reality when it comes to VTubers on the left than on the right. I think Based Camp, because I recently started watching Based Camp again. Yeah, they were talking about that when they were talking about like how the VTubers changed the quote unquote right wing. But yeah, you know, just something to think about. there might be some context for like you know, here.
We're all pretending to be anime people.
And that is, you know, a fair point, right? Like, obviously the person talking to you right now is not some red-skinned, blue-haired ghost who speaks an alien language that was created by a Korean Zainichi missionary to, like, spread the gospel to a planet of only women, right? Like, obviously that's not the case. But, you know, the anonymity is still, like, something that some of us actually prize. You know, if I were to lose my anonymity, I just have to go even harder on this, to be perfectly honest, right? Take no quarter.
All of you have, like, screen names that aren't your real name. Well, most of you have screen names that aren't your real name. You're technically pretending to be another person. I don't give a shit. If Mimi had a different name in real life, obviously they had a different name than Mimi. I don't care if they had a different gender in real life. It's irrelevant to whether or not what they posted was illegal. And I'm just showing this person's because, again, this is a thing I don't care about. They could be a man, they could be a woman, they could be trans, they could be non-binary, they could be a dog that is apparently extremely smart and knows how to use a computer. I don't care.
There could be a cat, right?
But I sat down last night and I went through every single post on Mimi's Pixiv.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I do actually give, you know, I actually do care about what Mizu says in this stuff, is he actually sits down and he actually does the he actually investigates these things when they pop up, right? He's like one of the few people who was like when Schlepp was making up shit about people drawing sexualized you know, pictures of him as a Shota, and he's like, Mizu was like, I tried every keyword combination I could think of. I looked through the quote retweets, right? I looked at the responses. That saw one picture of him. It wasn't even sexual, right? It's like, this is just not happening, or at least there's no seeming evidence that it's happening. And I'm like, I can respect that, right? Eustace is a cat. You cannot tell me any different. Yes, exactly, right? Oh my god. See, again, oh my god, I'm gonna hit my fucking wrestling moment. It's real to me, damn it. Oh my god. I was deprived as a youth growing up without wrestling. I'm just saying.
And I think I have it written somewhere around here. 2,043 images. I sat for like almost 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Just, every single one. Thank you, Noir, for the super. Something I haven't seen anyone mention. If you block a tag, anything with that tag doesn't show up, even on the artist profiles. Maybe. But I have gone through so much.
I may be a bit retarded, but I just noticed he has inflatable booba. Fucking water balloon ditties. Oh my god, I just fucking noticed that. Oh my god. Okay, fair enough. We shall continue.
So I will just kind of read through this, so everybody kind of sees like what I figured out or what I got. So a majority of their likes on the profile were Blue Archive, Pokemon, specifically Saba Gura, which it could be Saba or Gura, or it could be both. There was plenty of it was just regular big-breasted women. It was not like an exclusively lolly account. Some of the girls were aged up, clearly, so they didn't have anything like that. And very few of the artwork was like completely original characters. Most of it was like fan art of Pokemon or Genshin or, you know, different anime.
So basically the popular shit that would get you attention.
So there was nothing particularly like a real person.
Yeah, it's not like they were using fucking what's a good example? It's not like there's any like fucking art of Hilda or what's another good one? Fuck, I'm drawing a blank here on like like Kodomo no Jikan type stuff, right? No, like you're not finding any of that, it seems.
So the other thing I said was there's nothing real or realistic looking.
I will say though, in Hilda, Kaisa and Johanna, woo, I'm just saying, right? I don't know what it is. Cartoon women, right?
In the entire thing, it was all very clearly generic anime junk. I don't know why Proctor kept saying it was super hyper realistic. It was all like, I'll have an example below, but it was all like genuinely just regular anime stuff.
So yeah, one of the things that I think people also forget is like, yeah, you can see a human being in an anime like face and design, but just look at Mizu's face right now, right? He doesn't have a nose, he doesn't have a nose, right? He doesn't have defined lips. His eyes are way too large, right? And again, he doesn't really have a sense of three-dimensional space. Why? Well, it's because a lot of anime art is by its very nature abstracted. Right? Part of the thing is that it's abstracted so that there aren't as many like discernible imperfections, right? It's actually this lack of the imperfections that causes, again, it causes a lot of the draw to the anime sphere, right? It's an abstracted human form. It's not a concretized human form. Also, again, it also has the effect that like you can project whatever your mind wants to see on the abstracted form. Your mind can translate that into, like in your head, the features that you assume would be on the character. So this is why if you get like 3 different people to draw a realistic Sailor Moon, you're gonna get like 3 different drawings of the same person, right? Because some of those details are not concretized; they are intentionally abstracted. But yeah, anyway.
In the
take a shot every time I say concretized in a video talking about art.
Actual like KiwiFarm's thread, they kind of had like this weird focus on like saying that it was characters being raped. That's like an actual fetish that some people have in artwork. I didn't see any artwork like that on their page. I can only assume they meant it in the sense that the drawing can't consent, because there was nothing else in there. And something else I noticed was that there were a couple characters I thought looked a lot younger than like regular lollies, but I noticed they had pointy ears, so I clicked on the
Elf. Oh my god.
Pictures, and they were tagged with Final Fantasy XIV and Lalafell. Apparently they went through like a period of time where they were just liking lots of Lalafell art. So those ones just looked kind of weird because they were potatoes. Also, the Lalafell art was also drawn. There was no 3D modeled art in the whole thing. At least I don't remember any.
That's a fair point, Kuro. You gotta stay alert and ready. You gotta stay alert.
On Pixiv, there are 48.
You gotta stay alert for work, man.
Images on a page. I went through 43 pages of their stuff, which is the whole thing. which totaled out to 2043. The last page is missing a couple. I was specifically looking into a couple things that were mentioned either in Proctor's message or in the KiwiFarms thread, which was, they said something about, this was more in the KiwiFarms thread, that there was a lot of illicit writing on the characters' bodies that alluded to like actual pedo material. They also mentioned there was a ton of bestiality. And then the actual KiwiFarms thread kept bringing up like toddler con, or they would say it was babies. Which toddler con is mostly like a United States term. It's my understanding that Japan doesn't really have a term for it.
Yeah. There we go. Why is the video not stopping? Okay, yeah, I'm clicking on the fucking chat. My bad. But yeah, long story short, that really is the case. Again, Japanese does not have as many words as English does, because English has had literally, you know, we're the global lingua franca. We've conquered, just think about how many places were conquered by like the by the British Empire, right? So obviously we have like local terms, like there are certain terms that are borrowed from Bantu languages, for example, that are used in South African English. You know, in the South, we use a lot of we sometimes use a lot of Spanish loan words. You know, yada, 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 right? And in the anime community, we use not just the combination of like the words that we already have, but we import in the anime community the Japanese words relevant to anime, manga, doujin, and video games. And then we have from the interplay, you know, we can sometimes develop new words for specificities that don't exist in our language. For example, in Japan, because gender play is very different in Japan than it is in the United States, there's all kinds of words for like any degree of like feminine or masculine for male or female, right? Whereas the left has intentionally obliterated all such distinctions to just create, if you're not absolutely, you know, if you're not absolutely masculine as a boy or absolutely feminine as a girl, then you're trans. There's no tomboys, there's only trans. There's no femboys, there's only trans, right? When, you know, we used to have known these words, you know, in English in the anime community, but it was intentionally obliterated by an outside invading force because we didn't gatekeep our hobby, right? In the case of Japan, they didn't really have any of these words. In Japan, lolicon just means youthful female, right? That's why an adult like Rebecca, a very clearly adult woman who just happens to be very youthful in appearance, is a lolly. But like anyone who is actually, again, like that, or anyone who is actually underage in like the, well, not underage, it has to be a particular body type. So actually, that's a good question. When would that's actually a really good question. I'm thinking about it now. Because like Sakura Kinomoto and Tomoyo Dodoji, for example, would very clearly be like lollies. Those are from Cardcaptor Sakura. But like Sailor Moon and Makoto, even though they're like 14, would not be lollies because they don't have the same kind of body type, right? That's actually a really good question. I'd have to ask around to figure out like where the actual lines are, because it's more of a nebulous definition than it is like something hard. It's one of those things where it's like, instead of it being like you have to meet all of these qualities, you have to meet a certain percentage of these qualities, and then you count as that thing. So I'm gonna have to ask around about that. Actually, that's an actually interesting line of inquiry.
So the huge claim was obviously,
but yeah, that specific term does not exist in Japanese. That is a specifically American invention to distinguish, like, again, character, you know, lolicon in reference to characters like Rebecca, and, you know, again, the characters from Cardcaptor Sakura, or the characters from let's say fucking hold on, I'm coming up with a blank here. I'm gonna keep coming up with a blank with this. But like, you just pick those up. I'm thinking of card captors because there's literally a DVD set like right next to me, so it's like the first thing I see. From, again, the more extreme content, because like obviously there's a gradient we're dealing with here, right? The least extreme lolly stuff is going to be like Rebecca, right? Because again, grown woman, just highly neotenous, you know, has a lot of youthful features retained into adulthood, right? And then you got like lolicon like Tenma, which would be, you know, similar kind of extreme, very clearly grown woman, right? Just a lot of youthful features carried into adulthood. Then you have More extreme from that would be, for example, Card Capture Sakura. And then more extreme to that would be, again, for example, the thing he was just talking about. I'm not going to repeat it because I find that particular thing disgusting. But, you know, that we do have that term in English. It does not exist in Japanese.
The body.
And it was designed, that term was invented to make that distinction. So when people take away that distinction, they're doing that on purpose. They're trying to equate all lolicon with that thing which was so substantially different that we in English actually decided to make a word to cordon that off and make distinct from the rest of it.
Writing. In all 2,043 images, 81 had any sort of genuine writing on them. I excluded stuff like automatopoeias, which is like where the character it like makes a noise, right? It's like the little impact characters that are telling you like a noise is being made. I discounted any artwork that had like that was just them advertising their page, like, hey, this art was made by this person, I'm doing commissions. And then I excluded anything that was just the characters' names. There were a couple different pictures that had in the top corner, like Nahida, Sparkle, you know, stuff like that. Those ones I discounted. So it had to have genuine writing on it, like some dialogue or some writing that was kind of unrelated.
Booba.
Thank you for the booba. Admittedly, I should probably turn that off. I will probably turn off Blurp for tonight. I apologize. So after going through all of them, 81 had genuine writing. 42 of them, 42 of the 81, over half, were exclusively Japanese. And because it's an image, thank you for the head pats, it's harder to view like what it says, right? You have to be able to write it out in a translator, or you have to have a software that kind of reads it for you.
So this is actually where ChatGPT can come in clutch, to be perfectly honest, or Grok. Now, granted, if you're going to put lolicon in ChatGPT is going to freak out, so is Grok, right? But what you could do in this particular case, if you wanted to translate it, is literally just like crop the image and then put that into ChatGPT or Grok, and usually they can give you a pretty decent understanding. Unless it's like fucking highly stylized to the point where it's like it's difficult to read. But they can usually tell you what it says, right?
I do not think Mimi read anything that was on those Japanese images. I think they just clicked like. So this was a complaint like I got from some of the green Reddit people.
This is also another thing I think people forget is that like I think almost everyone here who actually follows artists, very few people who follow artists actually read text that's on there. Like they see, oh, pretty picture, and then hit like. Right? That's the vast majority of art consumption online is, ooh, pretty picture, like, or ooh, cool image, like, right? Very few people are going to actually get into the weeds and be like, ah, yes, this says this, and Arabic, or it's like, ah, yes, I really like this use of Devanagari calligraphy to write this word in English, right? It's like, no, most people aren't going to dive into that, right? If they can't understand the word, they're not really going to ask about what the word means. They're just going to fucking click like. That's just how it works, right? That's how most people work. So
was, well, it still said illicit stuff in the Japanese text. Yeah, well, Mimi probably didn't read the Japanese text because it's Japanese and they're British.
And if they don't understand it, then they can't really interact with it, right? But it's like imagine someone coming up to you and fucking talking to you in Nepali, right? I don't care what European country you come from or like what country in the West you come from, right? If you're listening to this, you probably don't understand Nepali. And I actually had this happen to me in real life actually one time. We had a fucking this was out when I was about, and this woman in a fucking sari comes up to me, and I'm like, oh, this is unusual. This doesn't happen all the time where I'm at, right? And she's trying to talk to me, and I'm like, hold on there. I don't speak a Devanagari language. I figured out where the language is from, right? I was like, okay, this is either India or Nepal. But it's like, I was like, ma'am, I can't help you. Right? I can't really interface with her because it turns out I don't speak the language, right? And like, if I had to guess, so I guess wouldn't have been that she was speaking Nepalese to me. I would have guessed that she was speaking Hindi, to be perfectly honest. But you know, and it's the same thing here. It's like, well, if they can't understand the language, what makes you think that they're interacting with it if they can't, you know, understand the language? Most people don't really. Again, most people aren't really going to do that.
So anything with the Japanese text, I think is completely fair to discount. Of the remaining images that you could actually read, I found exactly 2 that seemed to have illicit text. I was later shown that there was a third that was a part of a multi-image set, that it was an alternate to the image that Mimi actually liked, that I would also count as like illicit words. So 3 that I would say have kind of illicit words. All of them were because they specifically used the word child as opposed to lolly, which I don't like.
Kura says, I do unfortunately well enough to get a general premise. You know, fair enough, right? But, yeah, that's fair. Nepalese and Hindi are closely related languages, so it's like you could probably do at least decently well with both in that case. But that's you're gonna have to tell me about that one day. Because that was a strange experience to me, just like trying to do something outside, and then all of a sudden just this Nepalese woman walks up to me and just like trying to ask me something. I'm like, I can't help you, lady. I really would like to help you, but I can't help you. Right? This is just wildly outside my wheelhouse.
Like, personally, I really hate that. I think it makes it kind of, you know? But I'm not gonna say that needs to be banned. It's still just a drawing.
And yeah, this is more or less the very close. The writing similar system. The writing is very, very. I mean, they both use Devanagari usually, right? I mean, like if you gave me like Tamil or Odia, or for example, like again Sanskrit or Malayalam, I could tell you the difference between any of those pretty quickly, right? Because the writing is so distinct from each other, it's easy to spot from a distance. But you give me like Konkani or Devanagari or Nepalese or fucking was it like Maithi, because Maithi is sometimes written with Devanagari. It was like, what the fuck do you want from me? Right? First of all these languages are related to each other, so like any Sanskrit words that I know are going to be borrowed into these languages anyway, right? And it's like. What do you want from me, right? It's why Bollywoodzilla freaked me the fuck out. You know what? I actually still haven't seen Bollywoodzilla. I'm gonna have to check that out. Do not redeem. I remember that meme though.
Every single one of them was still fictional characters. One of them was Hat Kid. One of them was a Gurasaba mixture pick, and the other one was the Mesugaki girl from Blue Archive. I cannot, for the life of me, remember her name right now.
I've never played Blue Archive, so I have no fucking clue.
But all of them were fictional characters from, like, I'll say games, but Gurasaba is a different thing. Mitsuki, thank you, it's Mitsuki. None of them were real people, and none of them were even like fictional characters that were meant to represent real people. They were literally just
fucking Mima V1T-A actually has a decent point. Illicit words do not exist. You know what? Fair enough. I think we can give them that.
Just video game characters. That was all of the writing. So out of 2,043 images, I would give them 3 posts. That's kind of within the margin of error. And I don't think you can establish a pattern with 3 posts, one of which is completely possible they didn't even see it. But I'm giving you all 3 just for sake of argument. The second was a claim that there was just like bestiality stuff everywhere. I counted 18 images of it. 8 of them were Pokemon, so almost half of them were just Pokemon images. Arcanine, Mudbrow, Dawn.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the Pokemon fandom in this, to be perfectly honest. I genuinely don't. It fucking boggles my mind.
Stuff like that. And you can complain like that's gross or whatever, but that's all over Twitter already. If you...
Yeah, he has a point. Like, all of the stuff that they're complaining about is already all over X and Twitter, right? You know, I'm pretty sure this is on Blue Sky too, right? I follow artists on Blue Sky. None of them really do any of this stuff, so I don't know off the top of my head. But, you know, I'm pretty sure this is on Blue Sky too, right? As Ikura says, okay, look, save yourself. Just know that if you do watch it, the songs are literally all the same things. Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough, man. I gotta pull a stunt like that at some point. Now, you gave me a genius idea. There's a couple things I could do that with. I could probably do that with what could I do that with? There's a couple of them I could do that with. That, you know what? You gave me an idea.
If you just search like Pokemon porn, there is a high chance you're gonna see that in there always.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no laws against the Pokemon. So, like, a majority of the Beastie content was Pokemon-related, so I genuinely don't care. I don't even care about the stuff that wasn't Pokemon-related, because, again, it was a drawing.
Again, like, it is disgusting. I'm not going to defend it on a moral level. It is an evil metaphysic that is being concretized, right? But ultimately, it is still a speech act, and unless there is a real reference, again, something you can point in the objective reality and say, right there is the thing in the image, right? There is no victim in the concrete. The victim is the abstract Platonic form. Again, I've said I'm not a Platonist, so I don't believe in Platonic forms, but the victim would be the abstract Platonic form of this thing, right? So yeah, disgusting, yes, but again, I'm not a Platonist, so I'm not going to entertain Platonism, so I'm not exactly going to entertain the idea of, yeah, we could. It's justified to use force against, again, drawings. Unless there's, again, a real referent in the real. Again, the real is the thing that's kind of important here, right? Not the abstract, not the fictitious, the real. But anyway. Okay, you know what? If I do that, Kura, I'm going to pick a language I know you don't speak, okay? I'm going to pick a language I know you don't speak, because I have a couple of them. I could probably do that in Nahuatl, right? Most obscure joke in history.
It was still just a drawing. And the final part was kind of a claim that there was like a bunch of ToddlerCon. I couldn't really find anything that I would say fit the bill. Normally, if you've been around the lolly show community enough, you would recognize ToddlerCon if you saw it. Typically, it is very, very, very clear. And I don't like it. Like, to be frank, I don't like it. And I do hypocritically side-eye the people that do. However, I would never push for it to be banned, because
I don't know that it's hypocritical to, again, side-eye it, because, again, we have different words for lolicon and, you know, that for a reason. They are not the same thing, right? I have a theory. Obviously, there is an overlap, right, between pedophiles and lolicons and shotacons, in that, like, some lolicons and shotacons are genuinely pedophiles, but I would wager the majority of lolicons and shotacons are actually not pedophiles at all. I don't have the numbers, but that would be my suspicion, to be perfectly honest, especially considering how popular the tags apparently are. Right? What that old joke is, like, some of you fools are lying, right? The tag is too popular. Yeah, I think they are substantially different, right? First of all, I think you could explain most of lolicon as through archetypal psychology. You know, like Carl Jung's talk. Psychology. I think I briefly explained it in one of my previous defenses of chibi reviews. So I'll put that in the video description if I remember to at the end of it. Right. This is already forming up to be a decently long video, so I'm gonna write that down right now. But yeah, that might be an interesting video to make, but I'd have to get into contact with people who actually. I would like to be able to get into contact with people who know the community better than I do, because I don't know the community all that well. It would be interesting to have a conversation with these people, especially like on the psychology of it.
I do believe it is a drawing. But there was none of that in Mimi's, likes. Basically. The closest they got was, there was a lot of artwork of Nahida. And it seems like she just really liked Nahida a lot, because it seemed like about any post there was of Nahida, big or small, tall or short, she would like it. So there were a couple of Nahida that looked younger, but I wouldn't consider it like ToddlerCon. And then there were a couple that were Becky from Spy X Family. Oh yeah, and there was exactly one of Hat Kid from A Hat in Time that also looked kind of young.
Of course.
None of them were like toddlers. This whole like, oh, they were babies thing that the KF thread and Proctor kept saying is just a lie.
Let's see, Kura says, back to serious conversation. It's irritating that Lolicon is so harshly criticized, but Shotokan is not. The hypocrisy in the severity is very... Yeah, okay, I would agree. Because substantially speaking, they're not different, right? I mean, like, it's the same thing. It's like a Shota is a highly neotenous male figure, right? Just as like a lolly is a highly neotenous female figure. So it's like, you would imagine that the same moral outrage would cut both ways, but, you know, very rarely do you see people actually get up in arms about Shotokan, but you could see them get up in arms about Lolicon, right? But ultimately, it goes back to my position doesn't really change on that either way, because, again, it is a speech act. I explained exactly why it was a speech act. And, again, the issue with the law is when is it actually legal to use the monopoly of force to actually, again, initiate force on someone? That's the expression of morals that the law actually gets into. You know.
And it's important to kind of say, right? I'm not going through and kind of debunking these things because I think we need to, like, put tiers of fiction, right? I'm debunking it because it's important to know that they lied to you from the start. It was all fiction to begin with. But even then, they still felt the need to lie to you about it.
Yeah, there were a couple people that, like, I talked to on the whole, this is vile position. That, you know, were straight up, like, from the beginning, honestly, like, yeah, sure, it's all fiction. It's like, okay, yeah, so we've already gotten this point down, right? And again, it's like, as Mizu said, that, you know, that particular subject, I side-eye people who like it, I side-eye people who like that exact same thing, right? And even among the people who thought it was, you know, beyond the pale, but, you know, some of these people actually didn't even have a problem with Lolicon. They just had a problem with that one subject matter, and the claim was that they produced that one subject matter. But again, I didn't exactly go and, like, drive through the what do you call it, the profile, because to be perfectly honest, don't really care. I care more about the principle behind this than anything else.
They did not want to tell you the truth about what was in there. And I do believe people should have gone to the thread themselves and looked it up. Though I understand why a lot of people don't want to go.
Yeah, obviously, because, like, if what they're saying is true, I don't exactly want to see that. But even if what they're saying is not true, I don't necessarily want to see it either, right? Like, even if, like, let's say, hypothetically speaking, none of the claims were true, but at least regarding the IRL stuff, right? But he also had, you know, ToddlerCon on there. It's like, I don't want to go and put that fucking thing on my feed, right? Why would I want to do that? My neighbors are gonna think I'm fucking insane.
I just clarified at the end, my position has not changed. By the end of going through all over 2,000 images, there were about 4 of them that skeezed me out personally. I wouldn't say to ban them. I'm just saying personally.
Okay, that part I did, because I talked to one person about it, and there were definitely, again, they didn't think that it was illegal in the U.S., which is why they were willing to, again, show me it. But that being said, like, I was talking to someone who showed me it, and I was like, this skeezes the fuck out of me. I don't like it. I am definitely made really uncomfortable by the thing I'm looking at right now. Because, you know, it was a thing from the Twitter thread, and that's why I was like, I don't need to see the rest of the Twitter thread. I don't. I have better things to do with my time. But, yeah, like, you could be skeezed out by someone and, again, still not think that the things that they're making, unless it transgresses into the real, actually, you know, merits getting, you know, the force involved. Kura says, as far as I'm aware, the rule for lolly/shota in Japan was protect, don't touch, appreciate, don't approach, and a lot of anime featuring lolly/shota. Depends. It depends, because a lot of it is just also memeing stuff, basically. Like, obviously, like, the whole joke with Mr. Cat in Princess Tutu is just how absurd the entire situation is, right? That's the whole joke. The joke is intentionally absurd. In the case of, like there's an actual deeper reason behind it in, like, Kodomo no Jikan. But then again, Kodomo no Jikan was written by a woman, so, you know, make of that what you will, right? Then you got other ones like fucking Bunny Drop, where it's like, hey, okay, what the fuck is going on here, right? So, not entirely sure. I'm not Japanese. I can't really comment on Japanese otaku culture. So, I would not know. It would be interesting to talk to someone who actually has firsthand experience with that, though.
They kind of skeezed me out, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Don't like it. But that was it. That was 4 out of thousands. Single digits of what I would consider offensive to me artwork out of thousands. That's that's so few. You could get that from accidental clicks.
Yeah.
They were the 3-word ones, and there was one that just seemed kind of young. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, hold on. People talk about, like, Pixiv. Wait till they find out about the fucking Mastodon accounts that are made for artists, right?
So, I have, like, some just random pictures down here of some of the random stuff that was in there. I'll pop this one open, because these are safe for work. I intentionally tried to pick ones that were safe for work.
Hold on. I've seen that Meme Lord's fucking, like, art before.
But there was this one, or this like little set of them, just to show that, like, they were doing just kind of regular women for the most part. Like, this was, God, what's her name from the new Pokemon? But you can even
Yeah, it's Kanari. It literally says it right there under the name.
see with the cleavage, like, she just got massive donka honker bonkeroos. But, like, there was...
Hold on. Kuro says, Hananaru, Kindergarten, Mitsudome, Chitose, Get You. Shit like that, although far more wholesome, but yeah. Fair enough. Hold on, I'm gonna put these to the side so I can look these up. I'm getting decent anime suggestions today, it seems.
Plenty of, like, adult women. There was this one, which, if you've ever seen it before, it's from a account called Orangy, and they did a meme image called Cunny Barrel.
Yeah, he do be a little bit of trolling at times, sometimes.
They really didn't matter. I also took a picture of this one. I should have just popped it open. My bad. Just to show that, yes, there was a image that had Lalafell and FF14 as the tag on it. Like, a lot of this was really not a problem.
Yeah, this is... God damn it. Of fucking course. Kura says, Donka Bonga is wild as fuck as a reference for Booba. Yeah, right. Oh my god. This is one of the reasons I actually like watching like Mizu and fucking Elfpire and Mama Oko, is they can be actually pretty damn funny. But yeah, of course the auntie doesn't do basic research. They never fucking do they?
Problem. There's one you guys can't see off to the corner here that is of Nahida, because I think the Nahida one would push YouTube's rules a little far, honestly. But they are just Nahida in like a swimsuit. But I feel like they would push it too far. I've just tried not to get my YouTube banned.
It's a fair point.
And yes, most of it was normal art on the borders. So let's have a let's address like another specific claim. Call me a liar, but won't talk to me. I don't understand why you guys are so like beat up about this.
Honestly, I think
like,
people.
Chat, I've had the KiwiFarms people be upset with me all day because I said like their claims were light, like super light.
Well, I mean, yeah. KiwiFarms is gonna just farm, right? But as far as like people being super up about this, it's like, yeah, I think people got like worked into a frenzy, and then it's kind of hard to work someone down from a frenzy, right? Especially over an online dispute.
Like, if I don't believe you, I don't believe you, bro.
That's a fair point.
I don't know why you care so much.
Yeah, because like you're not calling someone a liar. You could just say, "Well, I don't believe the conclusions follow from the premises you've given me," right? That's not calling you a liar. It's just like I just don't agree with the conclusions you reach from the evidence provided. And yes, what I actually seeing if that's the evidence that they provided earlier, it's like I don't find it all that compelling either, to be perfectly honest. Because look, guys. Fucking anyone who's ever watched fucking anime has probably fucking like engaged in hentai at some point, right? In fact, actually, back in the day when I used to go to fucking anime conventions, you know what they had at these anime conventions that were sold completely over the counter, right? You want to know what they had? You want to know what they had, chat? Do you? They had fucking Dojin and hentai vendors, right? What did those Dojin and hentai vendors sell? They sold lolicon. They sold shotacon. They sold. Yeah, I can't talk now. They sold futanari. They sold yuri. They sold yaoi. They sold bara, right? And fucking, back in the day when I was able to actually go to these fucking anime conventions because I wasn't dirt poor, right? I'd go and I'd be like, every single time I'd go, it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy a Dojin. This is straight from a small artist independently making from Japan. What do they have for me, right? So, like, I have the entire Clover series. The one with the dad from Yotsuba getting together with the fucking Fuka from Yotsuba. Right, I have the entirety of the the Maniac Street collection for Evangelion. Right, for the entirety of what's another good example? Because I have a number of like these complete collections of like Dojin series. Let's see. As far as like this subject is concerned, I guess we could bring up like Ina Kakusu, I think is how you say it. Which is an Opie Lolly like Dojin series, right? And it's like this shit is sold over the counter. No one cares. You want to know what we had at these anime conventions back when I was going to them? Police. You know what the police didn't give a shit about? Any of the loli, any of the Shotokan stuff, right? They didn't have any of this shit, right? And even the people who are like, a lot of the people, even funny enough, who are hardcore anti like any kind of pornography too, a lot of them indulged in hentai as well, right? So a lot of these people have this kind of stuff in their history too. They just won't say it out loud. I don't really give a shit, right? I already know that I look like an unhinged son of a bitch. So I'm just going to tell you right now, right? It's like, I don't care. Right? It's time at this point to stand on business, right? Kura says, you literally cannot get away from it being somewhere in a convention. If anyone thinks it's not there, they're at a point of delusion. Drugs could scare spread. Yeah, again, it's like a lot of our problems would be solved if we just put people who can't determine reality from fiction in a box, right? Right? That would mean some of the people on our side would probably be put in a box. But, at least in the side of, like, again, the anti-Marxist stuff. But, I think if it means that I don't have to deal with people like infringing on free speech, I'm willing to make that particular trade, to be perfectly honest. So again, it's like, hell, if you even wanted like a suggestion, right? Not that I probably can give a suggestion, but if you wanted like an actual suggestion for like any of this stuff, I'm like, I don't know, fucking how to live with a Noroneko cat girl, right? Like if you wanted my example, if you wanted me to give you an example of like a lolicon anime, or not anime, but manga suggestion, that would be my suggestion. It's not even that particularly, like, it's not an extreme one, but you know, if you wanted something that is like, this is actually a compelling, this is actually an interesting story, there's one. So, you know, yeah, exactly. Make Asylum's rise again. You can actually, again, like, it's not that fucking hard, right? It just because someone enjoys an FPS and goes on a killing spree and fucking like that, what was that thing? It was Inhuman and fuck. What was that video game where the guy is like there's like a virus that like recombines itself, like deconstructs a body and then recombines it. Fuck. Death Battle had like a video about it a while ago. But it's like yeah, it's like if you play like ultra-violent video games, it's not that hard. Just look at the pornography women read nowadays, right? Like even relatively normal women read like extremely disturbing pornography. And it's like, this is fucking bizarre. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but yes, it turns out the majority of people on Earth, the majority of people actually seem to be able to distinguish, you know, real from not real. Contrary to what a lot of people really want to believe. And again, it's like, if you have a bizarre predilection, it doesn't necessarily say anything about your character. Certain ones may. Again, there are certain predilections where it's like, I gotta side-eye you if I find out you have it, right? But other ones, it's like, it's a bit weird, but, you know, some of these people are genuinely decent people. So it's like, yeah. Again, I'm just putting it out there. It's like, again, I went to fucking, like, all of this shit I bought over the counter publicly, right? This was stuff that was, like, literally publicly available. The vendors knew it. Like, the event, what would you say, the organizers of the event knew this was the case. The fucking police actually at the, you know, there knew that these were being sold. None of this is all that fucking complicated, right?
But the other big one was... this was where I acknowledged that somebody told me I'd missed an image, so I did. People kept telling me that there was also tracing of actual CSAM.
Okay, so I'm going to pause this right here because I actually did see this. I haven't seen the video yet, but someone actually has a really good comment on this. Also, this is from low 676. Oh, by the way, shit, where was it? Okay, I'll have to find it later. But low 676 says, also on the note of the traced CSAM, how the fuck would they know if it's traced CSAM or not? This is borderline admitting to viewing CSAM. Literally, how else would you know that? Literally admitting to possession of it to own the lolicons. This is another thing that happens very often, right? Wait. Are we that far into the video? Okay, so we're not there yet, but apparently the podcast of the Lotus Eaters come up. So 1:15, let's keep that in mind. But yeah, so it's like, how the fuck how do you prove this statement? Like, that statement there just like sounds very alarm bell ringing. It's like, wait, how do you know that? How do you know it's actually from something, right? Like,
which I said that there was one account in there called Crumbles that looked like it could be traced. I didn't know what it was traced off of, but it looked like it could be traced, but that was the only one I could think of.
I don't know what that means, looked like it could be traced, right? Because you could also just, like, believe it or not everyone has to trace realistic. First of all, again, if it's realistic, that's already a problem, right? We've already established that there's a difference between abstracted and realistic here. But that being said, it's like, how do you know that it comes from a real case of CSAM unless you've actually seen it? Like, did you recognize it from, like, you being involved in, like, the jury for a case? And this is one of the things that popped up. I mean, that could theoretically be one way you recognize it, right? But, like, how would you actually recognize this? This is a pretty damning suggestion. On the part of the accuser, by the way.
Sent proof later that Crumbles actually streams like their art process. It's not traced. They just use like this really weird, like blotchy style of how they paint. Like it's almost like they're doing oil paints, but with digital artwork.
Okay, now I'm more confused. I'm not going to look it up because I don't really care enough to really look it up. But now I'm more confused about what the fuck is going on with this particular art.
So that was the only one. I approve that Mimi knew about the Stephanie commission. Because that's what we're getting into. They were upset about this commission that was, what's her name? Her name is Stephanie from Lazy Town, which is a live-action show, and the character is played by a real underage actress. Oh, did you guys get an ad? Does YouTube have ads? My YouTube shouldn't have ads. I'll give it like 30 seconds. See if the ad stops.
Okay, now we're getting into some things where it's like we just covered. Okay, that's substantially different. Actually, since it's 30 seconds, give me one moment.
Didn't hear Lazy Town in so many years. Use Brave so I never get ads. That's a good idea. Love that villain guy. Rip him. Yeah, the villain guy in Lazy Town ended up dying from cancer, which was unfortunate. But he a lot of people supported him. He seemed like a good guy. So it's unfortunately. But I'm gonna hope the ad is done now. They were really upset about this alleged Lazy Town commission. So before I say it, the Lazy Town picture was not in Mimi's likes. They kind of said it weird in the thread, but they acknowledged in the thread that what happened was Mimi liked a post from an artist who at one point had taken a commission for this Lazy Town artwork.
I'm back. Wait, so again, it's not even that they did this, it's that someone in their fucking, like, web of people did something that they might not have even known was a thing. Oh my... Yes, it is entirely possible that you just do not know something that happens because someone in your group, you know, again, because you're not always aware of what's going on in your circle of, like, connections.
So, like, we're already, like, 2 degrees separation, right? That Mimi didn't like the artwork. Mimi just followed the artwork that did it. Followed the artist that did it. But then I saw the artwork that Proctor said was super realistic and clearly looked like the Lazy Town actress. So I have it on the bottom here, and I have it cropped because obviously I can't show the full image. I just got the face. This is the artwork that they said was super realistic and definitely of the actual real life actress. And I'm just like, what are you smoking?
I don't know, again, like, I'm of the opinion, again, that, like, there's a substantial difference between, like, when there's a referent and the real you can point to that's being potentially victimized, it's being victimized in a, like, drawing versus, again, so that when there's no relevant referent in the real. That being said, as Kura just pointed out, it's irrelevant to the current matter. Like, apparently, hold on. Apparently, Ace at Channel is getting attacked by Quangos, mass reporting him as a scam. Oh, fuck. Well, never mind. So I totally misread that. I thought you were saying that, like, this is irrelevant to, like, the whole situation. I mean, this is irrelevant to the situation that we were talking about a moment ago. This would be a different thing. But that being said, this is not realistic. This is very clearly abstracted. Again, you don't see any nostrils in here. There's only, like, a line for the nose. You see like a small discoloration for the shadow. Eyes are too large. Again, there's no lips on this thing. Like, there's only a mouth. This is highly abstracted. But even then, it's like, again, we still have the issue that there's apparently, allegedly, a real person who is the reference in, like, the concrete reality. So that is substantially different than, again, what we were talking about with other stuff, right? So the whole different situation could very well, you know, so yeah. But yeah, I didn't realize the hold on, Kuro, but yes, it is irrelevant as well. After I said it, I realized, well, fair enough. But yeah, I'm gonna have to check the ASAT chat. Oh my god, wait a minute, wait the fuck a minute. Is this at all related to the fact that, like, he fucking sent the word out to Asmongold about what was going on in Iran? Oh my god. I'm never gonna get away from this fucking Iran topic.
Are you what?
Hopefully he can, like, deal.
He's clearly not.
I do hope that he can fucking, like, again, deal with this, because that's fucking ridiculous.
It's definitely a representation of the character. It's not a representation of the actress. Okay,
now we're getting into, like, okay. Yeah, this is, I could see this being a thing where it's like, it's not the actress itself, it's not the person in the reel, because the person in the reel has the, you know, it is themselves playing a non-real character. I could see that this may be a gray zone between, like, what I was saying earlier. Because again, as you're saying, it's like, it's not a picture of the actress, it's a representation of the character the actress plays. I could see that maybe being an argument. I don't know how I feel about that argument. I'd have to think about it. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be, no matter when you like set these principles, you're always going to find some liminal space that tests your like the boundaries of your conclusions. And I actually haven't really thought about this particular question. I would have to put some thought into this. I'm not going to make a knee-jerk reaction as to that question because it's an actually interesting question, right? Because then you could make the same question of, like, what about VTubers, right? Because the VTuber is a real person who is being played, you know, it is a real person behind the VTube, but also the character that they're representing is not real, even though the character that's being played is is associated with the preference in the reel. So it's like, huh, I might have to think about that.
My god, it's so dumb.
I would lean that if we had this particular thing, my instinctual lean is towards, if it's, again, a reference to something in the abstract, i.e. the character, then I would lean to it still being a part of a speech act. Because, again, it's the reference is the character that is not real. But that's because, again, it's like, obviously, you have people who make pornography of VTubers. And, again, I'd have to think about that. That's actually an interesting question. Sorry, it was just sidetracked.
So let me pop this up, because I know I have it somewhere. Saying all of this followed up with me getting in a bit of trouble with the green Twitch.
the green Twitch.
Green Reddit. Green Reddit, my bad.
Green, yeah, that's better. Yeah, green Reddit.
I'm tired, chat. Sorry. But it got me in trouble with the green Reddit. So they decided that they were going to respond to what I said. Are you getting ads on a stream? I don't know. I didn't think I had ads. So they decided to do a little rebuttal to everything I said. So we can pull up just a couple of fun ones here.
Oh god.
So in regards to me saying that there was like 3 to 4 images out of the thousands, their genius response was, it doesn't matter if these images were the minority out of thousands. These images being bookmarked is disturbing enough. Like, how many more images would convince Mizu that this person is deeply mentally disturbed? 50, 100, 300, 800, or 1,000 more images of this type of content?
I'd like to point out that, like, Pixiv has a very sensitive, like, bookmark and like an algorithm. If you like something, it will immediately show you more things like that. Whereas, like, if you bookmark something, it'll again do the same thing. So, like, if you got like 3 in an archive of thousands, that's actually pretty telling that that's not what your feed is consisting of. Because again, Pixiv can be very, it can jump on that and be like, ooh, hold on, there's a new thing that he likes, right?
To answer your question,
Kura says it's definitely an argument. I wouldn't call it a strong argument. Yeah, again, this is just like me trying to think through things in real time. I haven't really thought about this. I'd have to think about it probably for a decent chunk of time to work out like what all the implications to like any of the premises are. Which would take too much time. We're already running decently long, and we do have that thing to be at like 7 o'clock. So I'm trying not to lag too much with these what would you call it, sidetracks.
More than 3, more than single digits when we're in the thousands.
Yeah.
If it was a real child, if there was real artwork of a real child, then I would immediately say, yes, that is too much.
So again, there's the point I was making earlier. Again, there's a reference in the reel that is the actual victim here. So like Mizu actually does agree with me on the general point, but again, it's a guy, I'd have to think about the thing he said earlier to really work through all the kinks.
But the fact that it is all drawings of completely fictional characters that are very blatantly meant to be fictional characters, yeah, you're gonna need more than 3. You're gonna need more than 3, buddy. And I don't know what you want me to say about that. I don't know, like...
Because another thing that pops up to mind is, like, again, a lot of these things also have, like, other expressions, not just even, like, live-action material will sometimes have, like, offshoots, like that are like comics, video games, all that kind of stuff. It's like, what's being represented? Is it the character? Is it a person? Where do you make that distinction? What are the justifications behind it? Like,
why you're so weird about that? Thank you, Huchidian Archie. Who would have guessed that moral crusaders who were so narcissistic and delusional to think they're the good guys would misrepresent, obfuscate, and lie about everything? Crazy.
Yeah, it's not a good sign if like people are lying off the bat about this. That's it's usually not a good indicator that they're on the right side. I did have someone bring up to me like rising sexual assault cases against children in Japan, and one thing I couldn't help but think at the time was like, again, interesting, because lolicon has been around for a while, and we have older Japanese studies about increases of like harms to children, and it wasn't the sexual assault one that popped up, that rose first. It was things like child abuse and child neglect, non-sexual. And then what ends up happening is that it's kind of interesting that this new study seems to come out after Japan takes the lead from the West to import third worlders from Kurds and Sri Lankans. Right? The same ones that have increased the violence statistic rates, same ones that have increased the statistic rates for property damage, such as, again, desecrating entire Japanese graveyards, same ones that have, again, increased theft rates. Again, right, it's kind of interesting that, like, most of the Japanese research into the topic said no correlation, and then third worlders get integrated, and then suddenly there's a correlation. But it's not the third worlders that are coming from cultures that actually, again, say, oh, yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with actually harming a real-life child of someone else, right? Yeah, no fucking correlation there, right? So it's like, again, what are we doing here?
But I'm like, they didn't even like the picture of the actress. And then the 3 pictures I think were kind of sus. That's like, what is the word again? I said it earlier. That's within the margin of error. You could literally get there completely by accident. Aguario, did you see the post yet where they code by saying we never claimed there was anything real or realistic looking in the entire thing? Yeah, so I'll get there. I'll get there because I have a specific thing to say about it. So then we have the second one. This is in regards to the lazy town porn. And again, keep in mind, Mimi did not like the picture to start with, and we just saw what the picture actually was. Their genius response to me saying Mimi didn't even like it was by making a sexualized drawing of that character as a child, the pornographer is also de facto sexualizing the actresses that played her.
You know what? Actually, hold on. Requiem Phoenix brings up a good point. The Pixiv doesn't even allow realistic-looking drawings, right? Realism is actually not permitted on Pixiv. So it's like that would be something that would be filtered by the moderation system.
Even if it wasn't their intention. This opens up the world's biggest Pandora's box that nobody likes.
Okay, give me your argument.
Nobody likes the idea of this. Because you're basically saying that if anyone draws any character that was ever played with a live action actor, they are de facto sexualizing every actor who has ever played that character.
I don't know. I think you could make a stronger argument for the case of the censorship side for here, where it's, again, if the design correlates to the particular design of the character that the live action actor did, then that might be a better argument, right? Because I don't know if you've seen Netflix adaptations, right? I don't know. It does seem like there is room for nuance in this particular conversation, even for this. But I can see where Mizu's like popping in here, right? It's just I could see how a disingenuous anti-porn activist could come in and say, yes, I'm going to use this as a wedge issue in order to shoehorn in at any time there's even a vague resemblance to anyone, then we can just use it as, grounds to nuke it, right? I could see this because there are disingenuous and there's good faith and bad faith actors on both sides of this conversation. Not everyone's motivated for the same thing. But there are people who are very well motivated, and the anti-pornography side just for the control, right? That it does tie into the whole digital ID conversation. And pretending like that's not the case is completely disingenuous. But yeah, so I'd have to think about this.
That is an insane Pandora's box to open.
But Mizu's also a lawyer, right? Mizu and Elfpire are also themselves people who've worked with the law. So, like, unstated implications are things that these people think about. I would really like to see Mizu, like, work through this and explain in intricate detail what the Pandora's box is for this. Kuro says, Islam being added to your country breeds more disgusting crimes. Well, call me Kaya because I'm shocked. Yeah, agreed.
And then what if it's still a cartoon? Am I not sexualizing the voice actress?
You know what? Actually, this is a good question, right? Because I would say that's fucking absurd, right? I would say that's actually genuinely fucking absurd. So you know what? I'm gonna start. Hold on.
Like, where is the line about that? Like, you just established, like, you just opened a Pandora's box and didn't even plan where a line was gonna be. That's so dumb. And then the last one is 2 parts. It's funny that Mizu talks about free speech. I wonder where he was when people were calling for the shutdown of KiwiFarms and the arrest or execution of its users, all because of their speech. Or when people advocated for the same for those who made fun of chibi reviews. People like Taxed Brass were targeted in that. Many people advocated for the arrest or even death of him, all because of his edgy tweet against chibi.
Are we really doing this? Are we really being serious here? Oh, are we being for real?
You guys got what you gave.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Again, let's not pretend like KiwiFarms doesn't do all kinds of fucking outlandish trolling, including things that sometimes cross the line, right? What the fuck are we on about? This is literally just reap and sow, right? This is literally just karma in action, to be perfectly honest.
You can sit here and you can be like, it's just by free speech, bro. Well, it's just their free speech. You and your little group have constantly threatened people all the time. It is genuine constant. And then you get like a tiny amount of it back from Twitter and you're crying. Nobody's even showing up to your forum to say it. Nobody wants to go to your forum. You're crying because people elsewhere on the internet are talking about how much they hate you. Like, what do you want me to say to you? Do you want me to pat you on the back, give you some milk and cookies or some shit, dude? Grow up. Talk shit, get hit.
Kind of base, not gonna lie, right?
And I have defended KiwiFarms in the past. I have defended its existence as free speech. But I'm at the point where I'm not stepping in front of a bullet with you when you'd push me in front of it anyways.
Absolutely. Oh my god.
Have fun.
That's literally. Oh my god. You know what? Fair fucking enough. The Kirsche position of no, I'm not gonna defend you if you're gonna fucking do this to me. Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's entirely fair. Absolutely based puddle. Just all I'm gonna say. Get him some milk. Yes. Oh my god.
You guys have pushed away any person that would ever defend you.
Yeah, because KiwiFarm is kind of a festering pit. Its entire purpose is it's a troll farm, right? Trolling is fine in moderation, but it's like the entire purpose of KiwiFarms is aggregating information to troll people, right? Let's not kid ourselves here. Right? There's a reason why no one really wants to deal with KiwiFarms, right? Who's ever gotten on a KiwiFarm for anything that they would actually want to be on KiwiFarms for? Let's be perfectly honest, right? That is literally their entire purpose.
So no, I'm not going to defend you. Have fun.
Fucking base.
Deal
Holy
with
shit.
your own shit. And then he followed it up. He was complaining that I said that the Mimi thread, by UK and EU standards, the KiwiFarms Mimi thread would violate a dozen different laws and regulations across England and the European Union. And all I had to say was, damn Kiwi bros, according to Mizu, very trusted source, this thread violates a dozen UK and EU laws and regulations. We are screwed. I'm not saying you're screwed. They're not coming for you. Most of you are in America.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Most of you are hiding behind the same freedom of speech that you would never offer to another person. Ever.
Mm-hmm. Preach it. Holy crap.
Gladly sit in your little corner of the internet and say, like, well, in America, I have free speech to say this. Yeah, you do.
I need a Gen Misa Tamari as a fucking preacher from the pulpit. His model is adorable. Yeah, it really is. He's got a very cute model.
But if you were in the EU or the UK, nah, you'd be in prison right now. Everything you guys do. Just prison, all across the board.
Yep.
And if you are so excited for Mimi to get fucked by the UK prison system, you should be happy that I want you to hold you to the same standard. I don't understand why you're so worried about it.
This is literally the Kirsche thing. This is the thing Kirsche's been saying, right? It's like they don't use your principles because they believe in your principles. They use your principles because they think that they can use it to get you to do what they want you to do. Right? To use it against you. So this is literally that thing we're watching in action right now with KiwiFarms. So it's like, yeah, no, Mizu is absolutely right to call them out on this shit. Holy crap. I haven't seen, oh my god, this is the most base thing I've seen in quite a while in the VTubing sphere.
You think the UK law is so good, so fantastic. Okay. Let's get the thread and let's take it to the UK police and just admit to them that you did it. I don't see why you're worried. Or Canada in 5 years. Yeah, Canada in 5 years will probably look like this.
Okay, that's fair. Canada bros be,
So
hopefully Canada can get better, hopefully.
And I didn't pull it up in my thread because I didn't really care, was people kept saying oh, well, Kiwi farmers didn't say that. That wasn't in the thread. We didn't say that, yada, yada, yada. And it was stuff that Proctor had said about the thread.
I'm starting to get why it is fucking Misa Tamari's Zitter account got mass flagged and ultimately, suspended. I have a sneaking suspicion I know what camp that came from.
So a couple people would probably be like, Well, you know, like, that is correct. Proctor just read the thread. You know, like, he's not really on KiwiFarms. He's just a random bystander.
Oh, have you never heard of Misa? Oh, fair. Yeah, Misa's actually a very, like, he does have opinions I disagree with, right? But that's the same with everyone, right? Everyone has their own thing that, even if you're objectively wrong, in my opinion, we all are owed our one retardation, right? That's my opinion. At least, right? You know, to show grace to our fellow man. But yeah, Mizu's actually got a pretty solid head on his shoulders usually, right? If you get the chance, check out a episode of Lawtism where he talks to like Elf Pyre Ava, and he sometimes talks with Mama Oko. All of them actually decently based people, to be perfectly honest.
The fun part about KiwiFarms, none of them have any loyalty to anybody.
Absolutely not. They will stab each other in the back.
Which is why they were perfectly comfortable in outing which account was Proctor's on the website.
Yep.
Did not bother them at all. Immediately was like, hey, huge up to Proctor's at Sanshane of TVA for calling it like it is.
Welper Helper 99. What a fucking name.
I've been waiting to kind of bring this up because, fun fact, I've known what Proctor's account is for a long time. Because Proctor is stupid. I'm stupid, but I admit it.
Based.
Proctor's extra stupid. Proctor has posted stuff on the KiwiFarms that I know the only person it's ever been sent to is him. So I immediately knew what his account was. But I don't have to go down proving all that because they just admitted what his account was.
Fucking doxxed by your own friends, man. Oh my god. With friends like these, who needs enemies,
and
right?
The fun thing is, we can immediately know that this account is definitely Proctor's because it is all up in the Kirsch thread, constantly defending her. From Sanshane, in the Kirsch thread, since you're being thorough, you might want to add the extra context here. For those who don't watch, she states here that she simply forgot about Shadman. She's known for being extremely forgetful to the point chat has to frequently remind her about these sorts of things. She also reiterates her disavowal of him upon learning what he actually did.
So then why are you holding the fucking relation that she had, that Mimi had, that again, she didn't even like that picture, but you're holding Mimi accountable for something someone she followed did that she very well may not have known about. But, like, we don't hold Kirsha to the same standard for a good reason, even though, again, she associated with Shadman, and Shadman did the obviously bad thing of actually drawing a real person, right? Actually making, pornography of a real human being. That, you know, a child, nonetheless, right? And everyone rightly shat on him for that. But you don't hold Kirsha to that standard because you know holding Kirsha to that standard is ridiculous because it was actually possible to just not know that this was a thing, right? It was actually just possible to not know that they did this. So, but you won't give Mimi the same grace. Bizarre. It's almost as if it's not principles as much as it is just like team playing.
All he does in the KiwiFarms is orbit the Kirsch thread. It's like all he gives a shit about. He is just so stupid, dude. He's just a massive simp. And yeah, you could sit here and say like, oh, Proctor doesn't speak for everybody on the KiwiFarms. He clearly does, because you're all backing him up all the time over this stuff.
Like, if it was an archival purpose thing, right, then I don't think KiwiFarms would be as hated as it really is, to be perfectly honest. But we all know that it's not just archiving things that KiwiFarms does. We all know this, right? Like, KiwiFarms does archive, yes, but they also do the trolling, and they do the fucking, like, they do the yeah. Yeah, they do a little bit of trolling sometimes, right? And sometimes it goes too far.
So dumb. Is Kirschwood side with Nimi in all likelihood? Why is he a retard? I don't know. I think that's an important thing to kind of end up with, right? Because we're not talking about a nice guy who happened to stumble upon this KiwiFarms thread and just really wanted to expose a predator in the VTube community. We're talking about an annoying simp orbiter who also happens to be an actual Kiwi farmer who runs his own diet version of the Kiwi Farms called the VTuber Asylum and fucking hates lolicons. And he did all of this because he hates lolicons. And he is the only reason this has gone anywhere at all. It is cringe. It is gay. I despise this man.
I can see why.
Spammer in chat. I don't know. I don't see it. Let me check. It's one of those people.
Frosty Chaos just fucking posted bratty Kiwi farmer needs correction. Oh my goodness.
Bye.
Cringe and gay, you say, says Azazel Silpason.
Bratty Kiwi farmer needs correction.
God damn it. Okay, fair enough.
He does know insulting Chibi only works for Chibi, right? Nah, he really doesn't. That's the fun part, is they see us, like, as a collective. And I don't know why they do.
They see us as collectives.
I think it's pretty obvious that, like, I'm not friends with most VTubers. Most VTubers are genuinely not a fan of me.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The reason why they think of us as a collective is because they have a leftist-inflected thinking, if not actually just straight-up leftist thinking pattern, right? And leftism does borrow from Platonic thinking, where the class is the real thing. So this abstract form of a human life is more real than the individual instantiation of any human life, right? This is why, you know, the collective takes precedent, the class takes precedent over the individual, right? Because the collective, the class is real, and the individual is less real than the class. Whereas in the case of, like, most, what would you say, Aristotelian inflected thought, it's actually the other way around, that the form of a thing adheres in the thing itself, right? So the form of a chair is not some abstract, perfect chair that exists outside of time and space, and, you know, an informational principle that, like, generates all chairs in the world of time and space by existing outside of time and space and reflecting itself into time and space, or emanating or flowing into time and space through that participation. But rather, the Aristotelian idea is that natures or forms, we use different words. The Platonists say idea, that's where we get the word idea from, or the Aristotelian uses the word morphe. So it's like, if you ever see the word morphological, morphe is the word being used there. So even the idea of form is, like, communicated differently in Greek than it is in English. But the Aristotelian tradition holds that the form or nature of a thing adheres in the thing itself. It does not exist abstractly outside of space and time. It only exists in concrete reality. So there's a bit of a more Heraclitean, Platonic, pull into, like, the left-leaning spaces that causes a lot of their problems. It's the root of their collectivistic thinking. Whereas, again, more right-wing thinkers oftentimes are, well, we do have class ideologues in the right as well. Because, again, right just means, again, anti-Marxist at this point. It doesn't mean anything else. But along the right wing, we do have more Aristotelians, and again, like objectivists like Ayn Rand, or Thomists, like again, who follow Thomas Aquinas, or even like Carl Benjamin, who's neither an objectivist nor a Thomist. He is just an Aristotelian. So yeah, I would imagine that might be part of it.
Farmers are up in the chat tonight. So I have derailed the Mimi thread so bad that half of the Mimi thread is just about me now.
Oh God!
At this point, and they are actively making Twitter accounts to yell at me. It's genuinely so funny.
Yeah, I mean, they did get his account banned. Let's go here to just look at that, right? So, important news. Mizu, that revealed KiwiFarm was lying about Mimi Yanagi the other day, had their account suspended. Likely to be thanks to being mass reported because he exposed the lies that were circulating. And by the way, they've lied about chibi reviews too, right? So... and I agree with Nianis here. It's like, how the hell does mass reporting still work in this day and age? You'd think that platforms would have some defense against it, right? Yeah, so he's currently active as Puddle Productions, which I'm glad I already knew about this. Fucking Fukona Yuki, just fucking first thing, Baba Booey. So, let's see what we got here. Mucho texto, right? Where yeah, he just like shows the thing we were just talking about, right? Let's see, looks by everyone's liking and bookmarking the post. Just go look at what Spooky Monkey posted. Oh, Spooky Monkey posted. I got it from him. This reply was fucking up, trying to link his post with screenshots. Doing the monads work. God damn it. So, there was a Roman... hold on. What is this about? There was a Roman philosopher who criticized Christianity called Celsus. His work survived in whole because a Christian author quoted it word for word to refute it. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. Interesting. Okay, so that's not really leading anywhere. But yeah, all of this is archived, ironically enough, on Twitter, right?
We aren't a personal army, guys. Proceeds to spam A-log uncritically, accept everything in the echo chamber. Yeah.
Okay, so where are we right now? We are at 1 minute 6 seconds. Okay, because I do know we're waiting for 1 minute 15 seconds because of down here.
And I think that's where I have to kind of mention this.
1 hour 15 minutes. My bad.
Because I didn't really want to, but I kind of.
I can't read chat. I'm an English major.
Have to. Is I've known for a fact I have had my own KiwiFarms thread for months, ever since the VTards thing. And I just didn't care. And what's funny is nobody else.
Honestly, like, as far as, like, especially among the Skybrows community, we should all view getting a KiwiFarms as kind of like a badge of honor at this point, to be perfectly honest. I'm not saying that I would necessarily want a KiwiFarms, right? I'd rather be put on the Woke-Chud list. I'm still not on the damn list, by the way, but I'd rather be put on the Woke-Chud list, which is very clearly a future blacklist, listing, by the way. I already got put on hey, this user uses AI blacklist, and I already got put on a Defender of Lolicon blacklist. I'm not even offended by either of those. I'm like, I mean, it's just objectively true. If you don't want to associate with me because I use AI, or if you don't want to associate with me because I've defended Lolicon, and even in this thing, I've even admitted, yeah, back in the day when I used to be able to go to Doja, into fucking anime conventions, I actually bought some, like, Dojin with Lolicon in it. I'm just gonna tell you, if you ask me, I'll just fucking tell you, right? So it's like, I don't really care about this. If you don't want to associate with someone for X, Y, or Z reason, that's fine, right? If you don't want to associate with me because of X, Y, or Z reason, that's entirely fine. Like, you get to set your own personal boundaries. I'm not gonna bitch and moan about it. I'm just gonna be like, well, I mean, that either I don't want to deal with you anyway, so it's no loss of my back, or you know, if I did want to deal with you, and then you disassociate with me because of that, I'm gonna be like, well, it's disappointing, but again, you set your own boundaries, right? But yeah, Kiwi Farms would definitely be something that, like, if you get a Kiwi Farms, you have probably pissed off some of the right people.
Cares either. There's one guy in my thread who posts every single stream I do, and that's all that happens. Every time I do a new stream, he posts my stream in the thread, like an archive of it. Like, at least I know if my channel ever goes down, I have basically every single stream saved since the VTAR drama.
Oh, that reminds me, I gotta check to see if the Peak archive is still up.
And I can just go back and pluck it right back up. And the only reason I'm saying it is because I want them to know it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't care. I'm extremely open with my chat. Like, what are you going to tell my chat? That I'm a degenerate? Oh, no. Chat. Look at me.
Based, not gonna lie.
You that I like My Little Pony. Okay. I have a model for it, too. Give me a sec.
Oh, no. Oh, no, I forgot about this.
Chat, could you believe the VTuber who owns this might like My Little Pony?
Oh, God. I will say, when I was younger, My Little Pony, specifically Friendship is Magic, I still can't stand, like, the 80s show. But, like, when I tried to watch it, it filled me with an irrational sense of rage. Nowadays, like, I went back and I watched a couple episodes, and I was like, it's not bad. I mean, it's not something that I'm going to watch all the way through, but it's like, it's not bad. If it was on TV, I probably wouldn't bother changing it, right? I was like...
It's like... it's such a secret. It's hidden in back rooms. You could never figure it out on your own, chat. Somebody has to tell you. I think this is the correct model. Yeah. Also, sorry, I'll put the boobies back on for you. They included in it that I said before I was trans for a couple years, which I've told chat.
I mean, this was also the case with Mama Oko, so it's like, okay. Okay. They used to be cringe, and now they're no longer cringe, right? It's like...
What's your brony model name? It's just Mizu Pony in the files. I did not throw the shock collar away. I can't find the receiver. I might have to buy a new receiver.
Okay, we might just have to skip to the relevant portion, or put this on increased speed, because we're here for a very specific purpose.
Receiver, but those are like, the receivers cost like nothing. It's like a, what do they call it? It's like a, do they call it a Raspberry Pi? The tiny little chipboard that goes in those things. It's just like that, but in a little black box. I think they're like $20. I just had to buy a new one. But yeah, no, like there's nothing they can expose that I give a shit about. Are you gonna point out that I was also racist as a teenager? Or I said racist?
I mean, again, you got something with Kirsha there, right?
This stuff. I've told people, like, this shit I've said in my past, it's probably horrendous compared to what I say today. I was involved in Gamergate. I enjoyed something called Internet Blood Sports back in the day. Like, I'm an open book dude. Oh no, Kendra fights out. Kendra knows, she likes it. You have to understand, chat, the women, they love the racist. Yeah, the Aryan boy with Aryan children. I think that's what eats some of them up, though, right? How old am I? Oh, that's the only thing I don't tell is my age. I'm a woman, chat. I'm 21 for like the 200th time. Favorite lolcow? So, here's the thing, right? And for people who don't know much about lolcows, my favorite lolcow was always Terry A. Davis. And I specifically came to really like Terry A. Davis because of a Mr. Medicare video on him. And it wasn't anything particularly that he did during the video. it was actually the thing that Mr. Mediker said at the end of the video, where he's like, yeah, like some of this shit's really funny, but this is a guy that could have been like an actual genius. You know, like even in his schizophrenic addled mind, he managed to, on his own, create an entire operating system. Like if he was medicated properly, or if he was just born with slightly better genetics, he could have like genuinely been the next Bill Gates, or he could have been like a genuine tech giant. And I don't, that gave me like a different appreciation for it, you know, like it's like, I don't know, I feel like it says something about life, because you hear all this stuff all the time about how people they'll tell you about how they had it rough in life and the evil white man had a leg ahead. And then I think of like Terry Davis, who's like, he genuinely was put like 3 steps behind everybody, and to a degree he was still succeeding, you know.
I do believe he's talking about the guy who made Temple OS, and the phrase he is looking for is "there but for the grace of God go I."
Like he made an entire operating system. Like what have other people done that's like that difficult and complex? I don't know, it hits you somewhere, I guess. And then the one I hate, there is one I specifically hate, I have like a burning hatred for, is a guy called Nick Bates, who is like a genuine pedo. His story it burns me up inside. It makes me so mad.
I have no idea who this is.
God. Don't look up his stuff. If you're like the faint of heart, I genuinely walked away like angry from like learning everything about him. Like wanting to punch walls, like level angry.
Fair.
Oh God, he's bad. He's really bad.
All right, we're getting closer
Learning a lot about you. I'm an open book. I'll say anything. I answer any question.
Okay, so since we're just on the open book thing,
this is something I was going to say today on Twitter, and
we're going to go straight to the part where that's actually interesting, because again,
I think you understand the concept, and I didn't realize that you didn't understand the concept.
Hold on. Okay. Mizu, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but again, we're here for a very specific purpose, right? I'm not trying to take the entirety of the stream.
Believe in it. Like it.
Let's go back a little bit.
You just want me banned. And Sargon replies is, yeah, I do.
Hold on, let's go back.
I am...
There we go.
Of the opinion that the average British person cannot comprehend the concept of freedom of speech.
I actually agree with Mizu. Like, I genuinely believe that the vast majority of the Englishmen, including those presumably nominally on our side in the United States, simply cannot actually fathom the idea that, one, this could possibly work, right? And like, they don't really believe in it. They'll give lip service to the freedom of speech, but when push comes to shove and they actually start feeling uncomfy, as what happens, I think, with a lot of things with people in principle, people who, not people with principle, a lot of things that require principle, people without principle, they buckle, right? And they're like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I will give to my feelings. And I would agree with him. I actually genuinely don't think that the majority of Britbongers, even nominally on our side, and that they are against Marxism, are actually on our side. I think, given the chance, they will absolutely stab us in the back in the American free speech absolutist movement. I would struggle to find a single Britbonger that I can think of that I wouldn't expect to stab me in the back. Just pointing that out there. But which, to be fair, they live in a different society than us, right? Whatever the United Kingdom wants to do, they can fucking do. I don't give a shit, right? But just know that, again, they're not exactly they're a fair weather friend, right? They're not going to stick up for you if it actually comes down to it, because, again, they don't really believe the same way that you do, and that has real consequences.
Because I used to watch every like Sargon video day it came out. And he would always say the same thing, like, no, I'm super freedom of speech. We need more freedom of speech protections. We need to be super pro freedom of speech. And I was watching a video from him one day, and he was fighting with somebody. I don't remember.
I think I know exactly the video he's talking about. I don't remember the name of the video, but I think I know exactly the content of this video, because they literally described Pixiv in that particular episode. If anyone can remember the name of this fucking video, they can let me know, because this was at least 6 months ago. But, well, no, actually, hold on. No, this would actually be probably more like 12 months ago, actually. But, yeah, nah. They described the Pixiv in very, again, distinction obliterating terms, right? Again, it's the whole thing of like, we're going to obliterate the distinction between the real and the fictional in order to magnify how degenerate the fictional actually is, right? Because we had already agreed, it's like, yeah, the fictional content on there can be pretty degenerate, but let's be fair, if it was real, it'd be even more degenerate. And by obliterating the distinction, they're intentionally trying to make it worse than what you would argue it's already, what it already is. It's that, so, yeah. And again, it's not honest when they do that obliteration of distinction. And again, I used to watch them all the time too. I watch them occasionally now, depending on if they touch on a subject that I actually give a damn about. And I remember taking a lot of umbrage with their whole coverage of the Iran situation, right? It's like, okay. Why are you leaving all this information out? I don't care if you agree or disagree with the conflict. I have my own opinion on it, right? But it's kind of interesting what you are not saying, right? Which positions you're not actually articulating. Almost as if you know that this makes your case actually weaker, right? So I don't think that that particular episode was actually done in good faith. I genuinely think that that was curated to... You know what? I've already said it.
For who he was fighting with at the time. All I remember was what he said. Where... The guy said something along the lines of, "You just want me banned." And Sargon replies "Yeah, I do. Freedom of speech does not mean hate speech. Hate speech is not free speech."
And yeah, this is one of the things that definitely is the case. He made this the position in the Pixiv conversation too, where because again, that was a thing that he talked about. Some of this type stuff in the Pixiv video that he did, but yeah, nah, the British right wing does not have a concept of freedom of speech regarding hate speech. It does not have a concept of freedom of speech regarding art, because again, as the Britbonger will pay lip service to the idea that again, art is the concretization of a metaphysic, therefore a speech act. They also believe that again, there is some mechanism of control by which the state has the authority to actually control what it is that you say that doesn't actually amount, even if it doesn't actually amount to a threat of violence, right? Just this is just objectively how a lot of these people think, right? And again, it's like, it's pretty easy to figure that to prove that. Just push them on the hate speech, or push them on the issue of hentai. Watch them prove me right. I love my Britbongers, but I don't want my state to be anything like your country, to be perfectly honest. I want your country to potentially be like your country, but how you want it, because it's the place you want to live and where you have an ancestral tie to. I want the place where I have an ancestral tie to look more like Hong Kong, to be perfectly honest. Except outside of communist control, right? I want to have my state be neutral Morsenet 2, electric boogaloo, except this time with an army, because we're large enough to have it. And
I was just like, I don't think you believe in it.
Agreed.
Like, at all. I genuinely don't think you understand the concept. And I didn't realize that you didn't understand the concept until now.
Yeah, a lot of these people will pay lip service to libertarian ideas, but they don't actually believe it. And this is not me hating on the Britbongers. This is just me saying, again, I don't think we're compatible culturally, right? It's the same thing with, again, like Kurds and the Japanese, right? It's like, yeah, sure, our culture is similar to each other, but we're not, right? There's a reason why the American is not British, right? Culturally speaking, we are incompatible with each other. We have two different ways of living. And I it's literally just that simple, right?
And then I started like going back through some of his other videos, and I was like, no, I just missed it. Like, I've never heard you say it out loud before. But no, he makes tons of allusions to the fact that he thinks there is a limit to what you're allowed to say. And he doesn't believe you're allowed to be like super racist or super offensive or anything like that. And I'm like,
yeah, and I can explain this actually, because the United Kingdom is actually a theocracy, right? Most people don't really think about this part, but like the monarch of the United Kingdom, so the king of the United Kingdom and Commonwealth realms, right, is the supreme governor of the Church of England, right? So he rules by divine right, and he rules in a religious capacity. Like, he is a representative of, in a sense, God. They won't say it like this, but functionally speaking, he is a representative of God on Earth to the plebeians, and he is also a representative of the plebeians to God in the cosmic. Again, they don't necessarily conceive of it this way explicitly, but in function, that is just a carryover of the Germanic concept of the chieftain, right? The chieftain serves a religious and political figure, function. And it just carried over in a Christianized context in this particular, when they became Christian. And because of that, because the state and the church are not actually separate in the British mind, they are actually deeply entwined. The state has an authority over the soul of man, including an authority to actually determine certain things are not permissible to the soul of man, even if, right? Like, it is just a matter of free speech, right? Free speech is not a thing that can exist under the British conception as it exists now, because, again, the state, as the agent of God in history, right? Because the state and the church, they're not the same thing, but they are deeply entwined. They are ruled by the same figurehead. Because there's no distinction between the state and the government, there's not really any distinction between the political and the religious. There is an appearance of a distinction between the two that is permitted, but the religious authority does have the authority to enter into the political. And this is where it's like, oh yeah, you can't do that because this is ultimately a religious edict. You can't be uber racist. And, so the church then imposes onto the political, right? The use of force in the time and space. The United States doesn't have that, because like each state in the United States, when we originally started as like each of the states had a different religion, and no one trusted each other. So it's like, okay, so we all have different beliefs about God and who God is and God's nature. So we're just going to put this thing where it's like, again, to protect the church from the state and to protect the states from any individual church. It was a dual-way protection. We are going to set a separation of church and state. So the British does not have this conception in their mind, because they don't have the history of actually having to live with people and cooperate with people against a greater enemy, i.e., foundationally us against the British, against a greater enemy that actually requires people with differing value systems to live together. The majority of people, historically speaking, in each of the four countries in the United Kingdom had the same religion when they worked together, when they were, historically speaking. The Scots were always Calvinists, right? The Irish were always Catholic until the North became Protestant. Let's be fair. That's why we have a distinction between the North Irish and the Southern Irish, with the North Irish being Protestant, specifically Anglican, and then the South Irish being Catholic. But again, the Welsh and the English, guess what? They're Anglican. So 3 out of the 4 countries are Anglican, right? There's no conception in the mind of the Britbonger of a historical requirement to deal with people you fundamentally disagree with on the most important issues, which is what religion is really a system of values about the most important issues, values and the statements of facts about the most important issues, right? We in America foundationally have that baked into our consciousness. The British do not. Right? This is why most British people, they genuinely don't believe in freedom of speech. They have no connection to this idea because it has no tie to their history. So that's just me rambling about that. That's my rat about that.
No, that's...
I do know I have a British listener, so it's like, if I'm wrong about this, you can feel free to let me know.
That's what free speech is for. That's the whole point of free speech. Thank you, Hoochie, again. It says Sargon has a look-alike from when he was fat that does gay porn.
I didn't need to know that.
No. Why would you know that? Oh, that's horrible.
Okay, I think we may have finished this video, at least for the part that's actually important for what we're doing. But there's a little bit towards the end, so I'm going to pop over here and see what this is.
So I've talked about it before, but there is this cool game.
Okay, yeah, so we are just straight up done with that. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of time, we're going to pop over to Chibi Reviews and then finish off with Chibi Reviews. I did not expect this to be a 4-hour video, but here we are.
So I'm just going to get straight to the point and talk about a big bombshell.
Do I have this on two? Okay.
Right off the bat, Mimi the VTuber that was accused of a Shadman situation thanks to KiwiFarms, it has now been
It's doing it again.
discovered that she is entirely innocent. She is not named Jordan. She is not a dude. And on top of that, everything that KiwiFarms posted was a fabrication, manipulation, as we all suspected and what I talked about in my video.
I don't necessarily know if it's all fabrication or manipulating, but it is definitely suspect, again.
I uploaded a few days ago. And the person that discovered this information and debunked everything that KiwiFarms had to say was Mizu right here, which, as you can see by their account on social media, has now been suspended. And you're probably wondering why. Well, they've been suspended because of mass reports, because they dare expose KiwiFarms, expose them for their lies of trying to basically slander Mimi that was arrested in the UK over drawings.
I do know that, like, Chibi is definitely probably having a victory lap over this, because fucking hell, mate, the KiwiFarms has slandered Chibi before, and...
And so, because of Mizu's actions of going through every point and debunking everything, their account got suspended for it. Thankfully, there is a few individuals that managed to actually archive the said post. Not every post from what I can see, but some of the posts where Mizu was going over all the details, going through 2,000 plus images, going through all the different pages of the different allegations and stuff that was against Mimi, and basically Mizu discovered that everything was just straight up bullshit. And that KiwiFarms, as usual, a cyber stalking...
The internet getting itself worked up in a frenzy over something that wasn't true? My gosh, who would have thought, right? I'm still not sure that I believe that this arrest, like, that any of this is actually taking place, by the way. I'm still in the Romanian V position of, I need to see more documentation before I believe that this is actually real. But the principles behind this were more interesting to me.
Passing Fred and forum website, they were actually just straight up liars. And so basically at this point, Mizu's actual reward was getting suspended because he dare try to expose the truth, which is outright disgusting.
Absolute puddle supremacy, right? Puddle absolutely sweeps.
It's legitimately insane. So where are we at now? Well, obviously, where we're
How dare you point out errors in my moral outrage, right? This is beyond the pale.
at now is an evolving story that continues to evolve more and more as time goes on, and come to find out Mimi is innocent. Now, I'm going to be blunt. I still do want to see court records, I'm not going to lie, but I think at this point in time, it is very clear that the wells and water was poisoned thanks to KiwiFarms, and this entire moment, what it really has done is showcase that the group that basically got Mizu suspended and now is trying to slander Mimi, or did slander Mimi, they can no longer be trusted. Like, you can't have any form of good faith trust in that site anymore because of stuff like this. It's not just the fact that what they did to Mimi, but now trying to silence the truth and get Mizu suspended for revealing and exposing the truth, I think paints a very big picture that that group is not about discovering the truth and actually bringing factual information on, or evolving information as it evolves. They're just a group that wants to ruin someone, destroy them, and cause them basically to potentially even take their life. And
yeah, this is definitely, again, KiwiFarms showing who they really are kind of deal, right? I mean, if Mizu was wrong, they could have, again, proven that he was wrong. They could have actually compiled the case and, you know, made a counter-argument. Instead of making a counter-argument, nah, they just went to attack his channel, his account. Not channel, his account. But they went to attack his Twitter account. Why? Because Mizu just objectively mocked them, right? As he often does with these situations. Like, again, it's like, well, what do we do if we can't actually attack the idea or the case of someone? Well, oftentimes you just attack the person. But,
that's exactly what has happened. What we continuously see this group trying to do, trying to get someone at the edge and basically be done with everything. It is extremely freaking gross. And I'm making this video for two big reasons. First off, I want to thank Mizu for doing the research, going through so many different images and everything to debunk everything that KiwiFarm said, but I also want to apologize to Mimi for even covering the story about the information around KiwiFarms, because I do feel partially responsible for even talking about the situation. Even though I gave ample warning that it could be manipulation and lies being spread, I still feel very much responsible, and I feel terrible. I'm pretty much disgusted with myself. Like,
and you know what? Again, this is one of the reasons why I like watch and pay attention to Chibi, because he'll admit when he's wrong, and I'm like, look, man, this this takes some character to admit that like you didn't just fuck up, but you fucked up royally, right? this was a pretty big fuck up, and he's like, you know what? That it was me, my responsibility. I should have, it is my fault that I did this. Like, yeah, I mean, it is. I respect the man for again taking accountability for his fuck up. But yeah, like, this is one of the reasons why I still defend Chibi and I still watch Chibi. It's because, again, he's an honest guy. He may be a little degen at times, right? I don't understand the giantess thing. But, again, seems like an honorable guy in general.
to be completely honest, guys, I am very much disgusted with myself. I mean, there's no excuse for me basically talking about that information at all, regardless of circumstances or whatever. So Mimi, if you are watching this video, I do greatly apologize, because everything at this point, it's very clear that there's a lot of malicious groups that want to use you to basically just slander and destroy you, but also on top of that, it's being talked about by so many different groups on the internet, millions of different people, and it's very clear that this has gotten way out of hand. It's an evolving story, and like, in general, nobody should be put through that. And I feel very sad that I was a part of potentially people harassing you, and I'm extremely sorry on that. I really am, Mimi. This goes to you. I'm addressing you in specific. I am sorry. I really do think, though, in general, that this entire situation is just gross. Because
Now, funniest possible timeline is, like, Mimi eventually comes back, and, like, first stream is a fucking Chibi raid, right? First stream, fucking Chibi raids the Mimi channel, or Mimi raids the Chibi channel. It's like a sign of goodwill, right? Or, hey man, if Chibi is a solid character, I don't know. Not Chibi. If Mimi is a solid character, I don't know. I didn't do any background research into like the content or their personality or any of that stuff. But like, hey, if they're a stand-up person, no, I don't really mind. Like, I think it would be really funny if they did a fucking collab at some point. That would actually probably make KiwiFarms lose their fucking minds. two of our locals? Funniest possible thing for KiwiFarms would be fucking Misa Tamari, Chibi reviews, and Mimi possibly being in the same room together. 3 lolcows. Too much beef, right?
because the fact that all the allegations against you now has just been basically proven that it was lies and manipulation is insane. And I mean, you need justice. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I wanted to make this brief video just addressing everything to make sure I set the record straight. Very short, brief, get to the point. But yeah, everything at this current time is reset back to its original state. And what I mean by that is, everyone that's watching this video, is that everything that we know right now is basically from the bail bond to also basically the arrest. That's it. Everything else that's pretty much came out after that, with KiwiFarm saying that, you know, Mimi might be a person called Jordan, Mimi might be doing a Shadman situation. Everything about the situation is just outright bullshit. It's not real, didn't happen, got debunked, and until we're proven otherwise, KiwiFarm's just straight up lied. And I mean, Mizu faced the consequences for that, for even exposing this. They got their they got their entire account taken down, daring to expose the truth. So I think that that says a lot here. I think it just goes to show that, yes, they got caught, and they did not like the fact that they got caught for the lies. So once again, I apologize, not just to my community, but also to Mimi for even making that video. But I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, everybody. You all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.
So yeah, it's not just Chibi. I think I've actually been vindicated about this. Let me go to my profile actually, because I made only one comment on this entire situation. Let's go down to, let's see if I can find it. It's a Shando thing. Misa Tamari. That's not it. Here we go. This was my basic statement. I'm glad, and I might have miscommunicated what I tried to say in this, to be perfectly honest. And if that's the case, then, you know, I'm retarded as well. But, you know, I'm glad I wasn't rash enough to give another earlier opinion on the recent controversy first. I don't believe said VTuber was actually arrested. I'm still on the fence about that, right? I don't know. Something about this screams fake to me. I could be wrong, right? If she was arrested, I think it's fucking ridiculous. But, you know, second, I may defend lolicons, but I'm not going to defend toddlercons. I still stand by that position, right? You shouldn't be arrested for just, again, drawings in the abstract with no reference in the concrete to a specific individual, because it turns out collectives don't exist, right? I'm not a Platonist, so I don't believe collectives exist. But anyway, there's a world of difference between the two. Again, not going to... I think there's a world of difference between the two. Not going to defend this on a moral ground. I think that this is far more degenerate than this is, to be perfectly honest. And, again, I think totally I have been vindicated in my position here. But I could also be very wrong, or I could have completely miscommunicated what I said. But from what I think I said here, I think I've been vindicated. So, we have finally, it seems, gotten through the entire situation. I knew this was going to be a long one. So, anyone who's still here, thank you for putting up with me. So, I'm going to end the video now. Y'all have a lovely day. Let's see. Okay.